Halloween
Forever.
Halloween is Forever is filmed in front of a live studio audience. Welcome, boys and ghouls, to another episode of Halloween is Forever, the podcast where we pick a topic and listen to three mutant horror nerds rip each other's guts out on the way to deciding whose pick reigns supreme. I'm Brian.
I'm Meg.
I'm Steve.
We're here once again, recording in person.
Together.
We got beers, we got snacks, we got topics to discuss.
We got Takis.
We
got
we got blue. What do they call them?
Takis.
Not flamin' blue. What are they?
Extreme
blue
flavor?
heat.
Blue
Takis. They are fucking toxic. I can feel the toxins running through my veins. And we also got a big bowl of candy corn here for one distinct reason. Boys and ghouls, we're kicking off the spooky season real early this year. It is August, which is pre-spooky season for me and every sensible human being on the planet. And our topic for this month, I've been affectionately referring to this as Showdown episodes in my notes. For those of you who are new to the podcast, which I know a lot of people are, we do mini-sodes. You may have heard some of our mini-sodes where we pick a topic and talk about it. Once a month, we pick a topic or a subgenre or something. And usually we pick a movie, and then we talk about the movies, then we argue who should win, and then ultimately somebody takes home the belt. This time around, a little different. A little diffy. A little Joe Diffie this time around. Our listeners, social media friends, picked our topic we picked three randomly from our pool of topics, and then they voted on social media, and the one they overwhelmingly voted for is Halloween sitcom Halloween episodes. So we're doing it. So we're getting a little spooky ooky in here today.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I wish you would have had actual trick-or-treat bags ready for us. That would have made this feel like
you can't blow your wad all at once. You got to ease into the Halloween season.
One thing at a time. Yeah.
Right. So right now I'm just
candy
nibbling.
corn is definitely we've already discussed this. I love candy corn. Steve obviously said he does not.
He's not a fan?
No, not a fan.
But
It's a polarizing snack.
Maybe
But when
at
it's
some
fresh
point we
like
should do
this,
a poll on people's
Ooh.
favorite worst Halloween candy,
Yeah.
and candy corn would probably be on that list.
I'll tell you this. We just also tried the cookies and scream flavored M&Ms, which I think are new this year for Halloween. Much prefer the cotton candy corn. Much prefer the candy corn. Me personally, that's just me. Whatever. I like the classic, but when it's fresh like this, ooh, picked right off the candy ear.
The August fresh
Oh, that
candy
August
corn.
I hope
fresh candy corn.
everyone hears every ear of candy corn that you are eating along the way here.
Sumptuous, waxy. I love it.
So, see, you mentioned, Meg, candy people hate, and I don't necessarily hate this one. I'm just indifferent to it, and I don't want to eat it.
Okay.
The one I hate, and I think everybody hates it, is Necco wafers.
Oh yeah, those aren't even candy.
Wait.
They're just dried toothpaste. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I don't know if I've
My
ever had
grandma
that. Can
loves
someone?
some Necco wafers. There is a generation that loves Necco wafers. They're almost in wax paper.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
you guys should bring me them. Find me them. I want them. I want to
Just
try
spare
them.
yourself.
Spare
They're
yourself.
horrific.
Think of Smarties, but they're size of a dime, and then they're all wrapped in wax paper.
Yeah.
It's serious Depression era candy.
Yes, but they're less flavorful than a Smartie.
Are we
and
not
more
in
chalky
Depression
than
era right now, or we're all just depressed?
Yeah, it is it wants to if you are already depressed, it's gonna make you lose your will to live.
Right.
A Necco wafer. They are these little discs. Yeah, they don't even have the acidity that a sweet tart has,
nothing,
or I mean
yeah.
that a Smartie
do
has.
like some
Citrus,
Smarties.
Yeah, it has no citrus or anything. It's just chalk as a candy. And it's different colors for no reason because none of them taste different.
No, those little meltable, little almost pillow-shaped things that are pastel colored, those are a fucking delicacy compared to Necco wafers.
Yeah.
Necco wafers they make you lose your will to live.
Imagine Valentine's hearts minus the flavor, minus the fun messages.
Yes, that's a great way of putting it. God awful. God awful.
So what's
given
actually happening is you guys are making me more enticed to do
That's
this.
what-
I'm not
hey,
gonna lie.
go
You guys
find it.
are not.
You're gonna get this so built up in your head, and you're gonna try it and go, "Oh God, they were right."
Oh, they're exactly
They're
right.
so horrifying, so
Next time we
horrifyingly bland.
record, I'm
They're
gonna
not
find them.
offensive. They're just so nothing.
Yeah, they're so awful.
Yeah.
And
I feel
so
like I can
given the choice
relate.
between that and candy corn, I'm all aboard on candy
Yeah,
corn.
that's like saying, given the choice between candy corn and like a sharp stick in the eye.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna obviously take candy corn.
Right.
Yeah. So, in any case, let's talk real
Anywho.
quickly about. Let's talk about the beers that we're drinking here. And if you guys hear in the background, we got some pups. They're playing. They're frolicking around here in the in the Cryptor Kel, which we coined last week. They're frolicking around, chewing a little stuffy squirrel situation there. But
It's the Cryptid Day destruction, actually.
yeah. Well, that's all right. That squirrel deserves it. That's what I said. Who wants to talk about the beers that they're drinking?
I'm actually starting off with one of your beers, which
Mhm.
I'm excited about. And I got a Pivo Pils, which is always a classic from Firestone.
Mhm.
But as I said pre-recording, I am playing a full M&M and cleaning out my closet and brought a couple beers from the
Couple two tree beers.
couple
some
beers.
Couple,
They're very
couple
fruity. They're a
eclectic
little
ones.
bit sour ones, like pineapple upside down cake from the folks who do the chonks.
Mhm.
I just like saying that name. I get
Yeah.
them specifically so I can say chonk.
Big chunk.
Yeah, no.
It's fun how beer has just leaned into being garbage pastry. And that we have chonks, we have smooge, we have
Yeah.
Those smooges,
Smooge.
I
That's
honestly
a funny
don't
word
hate
to
them.
say in a Pittsburgh. Smooge.
Right. I got-
Smooge.
Gene
Jean's
got
got that smooge.
Gene's got smooge. Yeah.
Have you guys had them? They're actually not
I have
terrible.
not- I have
I
not
kind of
had them.
enjoy them.
I have
I don't
not.
chase.
In such a way of like, if I want a smoothie that will get me fucked up,
mhm.
they're good. Like
I
that's
almost
it.
would
Like,
rather just go get like a Steel Reserve Blackberry,
Ooh,
something
yeah.
or whatever, and just go. Let's embrace the
Now
You
you're
know
poison.
speaking
what?
to my
I
kind of
think
white
I just
trash.
wanna do a
That's how I get down.
I should just do a
That's what I
protein
fucks
shake
with.
with a shot of rum or something.
Yeah.
Is also adequate.
That's true too.
Super fruity.
Yeah,
protein
just take
shake.
some vodka to the mall and buy an orange Julius, and
But
you're all good.
Just
Yeah.
get the absolute lowest shelf possible rum too.
Yeah.
Really to hammer it
Yeah.
home. My buddy Brian, he would always joke when we were in college, when he would go into a liquor store, he'd immediately just get down in a catcher's stance because he knew he wasn't going any higher than the bottom of the shelf.
I like how I don't know, and I don't know if I should feel this way about it. Like it makes me. It's like when you see the most Russian vodka that
Yeah.
you can find.
It's named after some Russian monarch somewhere. It's Vladimir. Or it's
No shade on Russia.
Kamchatka.
No shade on Russia.
Yeah, I'm sure
But it's
that.
totally made in America, probably.
Oh, absolutely. From 49%
Yeah.
neutral spirits, which is basically like wood alcohol. It's horrifying. Oh, you're fucking with those Takis, Meg. You didn't want to try them. Now you're fucking with them. We tried to smoke one already. It didn't go that great. I went blind. I have not recovered my vision.
I walked into the Talkies very skeptical,
Mhm.
and I'm a believer.
Oh, Takis are fucking fantastic. These blue ones are a little creepy. And when you call something blue heat and the heat level index on the bag is printed extreme,
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck me up, cuz that's what I want from them, and they're not that.
I'm a fucking bitch about heat. Like
Yeah.
I'm trying. I'm like one of those people. I'm trying.
Yeah.
You know, the same thing I did with olives. I'm like, I tried and I tried and tried until I fucking liked them, and now I
Yeah.
like them, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing with heat. I'm like, I'm trying.
Beat yourself into
Each-
submission. Yeah.
Each yeah.
I don't
each
think
little
it
step.
works the same
So
way.
so yeah, no, they're not too bad. They're
Yeah.
they're nice and tangy and delicious.
They definitely have the tartness.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing tug of war with the squirrel.
This is just
One
gonna
dog
turn.
is 5 times bigger than the other, so I don't like his chances. Yeah. So the Takis, yeah, I like the acidity. I like a hot spicy snack though, and this
What
was
is-
just
what is that for you?
disappointing. So
Is that
the
like kimchi to your face?
Yeah, I mean, I like that, but there's like, so you can get some really spicy like almonds and peanuts and stuff in a gas station. The what
That's
is
a
it? Was
good
it
combo,
Pocky?
too.
Pocky? Is that the chips that are?
I
They
feel
have
like
the
Oh, yeah,
ghost
yeah,
pepper
yeah, the
chips.
Pocky, yeah.
Yeah, not the Dare ones that it's like one chip in a bag.
Right.
Just
They
the regular.
do have some ghost pepper ones.
Yeah, just the regular ghost pepper chips. Like they'll get you sweating. I love a flaming hot. These aren't even as hot as flaming hot Cheetos.
Yeah, I got one for you, Brian.
Yeah.
It's have you seen? You know, like the Hers, like cheese curls.
Mm-hmm.
There's Carolina Reaper version.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've had because they have a Carolina Reaper, or maybe it's ghost pepper chip. Hers chip.
Okay,
that's
yeah,
good
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll fuck you up a little bit.
I feel
Speedway
like
has a brand. It's like their house brand or whatever. That's like I think either ghost pepper or Reaper, and like they fuck you up too.
yeah, I feel like the peanut of any sort or any sort of nut would like be like almost soft because it has like sweetness that it's like it'd be a good
like
pair.
That it's weird because the I think it's the oil in nuts
Okay.
just like make it permeate your mouth
Oh,
so
shit,
much more.
okay.
It's like when you get a really spicy jerky. It just
Yeah.
permeates your
Yeah.
mouth so much harder. Or even like sometimes I've had like a really hot Slim Jim that I'm like, oh my God, I'm sweating. Just because like that fat just I think this like makes it permeate your mouth so much
Also,
harder.
I mean, with jerky, I think because you're also drying it down.
Concentrating
You have
too, I'm
nothing
sure.
but oil, like
Yeah.
nothing but hot
We're
oil.
totally veering off topic here, but I have to bring into the like the Tijuana Mama or like the
fuck yeah.
pickled fucking.
Yeah.
Any type of wet meat at a gas station, I fuck with.
I legit will just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna go pick up this, and I'm like, yep, I need a pickled wiener in my mouth right now.
Yeah, I
Like-
literally- if I go to a gas station and there's something that is just a normal human would go, don't eat that, you idiot. I can't keep my eyes off of it. Definitely. Well, fantastic. So the beer I'm drinking, we did talk about beers at some point. Then we got into snacks. Then we got into wet meats. I'm drinking True Penny by Allagash. It's a Belgian Pilsner. It's kind of a fun one. So it's all right. It's not as kind of bright and crisp and clean as like the Pivo, for example. But it is definitely a little kind of rounder and doughier and esterier. So it's all right.
Cool.
It says Chris, bright and trustworthy. Do you feel like comforted by this
They
beer?
try to use beers to like give them attributes of humans. Yeah, it's not. This beer
All
is
of my
is-
beers
is-
are my
is-
friends.
Is bright, expressive, and it pays its rent on time. Like, fuck off.
Do you trust that beer to show up next time you move?
He's a
with your
good
friends?
credit score.
Yeah.
Good credit score.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I'm also drinking Brian's beer.
it's my house. It's my
Yeah.
beer. Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna offer beer, so obviously when I come here.
Yeah, but Brian, he nicely bought one of these celebration packs from Firestone. So Meg had the Pivo pills, and I'm having the Union Jack IPA.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna move real quick onto the Double Barrel, which is like one of my all-time favorite beers.
DB.
Before the pandemic, when like everything is closed all the time, obviously, I don't know if they've still might not have reopened, but oh my gosh, it's definitely gonna escape me. The bar in Chicago, very very famous beer bar.
I don't know Chicago that well.
Dang it. They have a location in the in O'Hare. Something.
Nope, now you
Public
completely
House.
lost me.
Dang it. I'll think about it. In any case, they would always have Double Barrel Ale on tap.
Okay.
And that would be like the shit, I've got another like 3-hour layover to O'Hare, or I'm stuck there because I'm delayed like I was freaking yesterday or whatever. And I would just go there and go, you know what? This can make me feel better. I'm going to go drink 2 or 3 Double Barrel Ales. So I have an affection for that beer. So that's the main. And Pivo's fantastic. I haven't had that beer, the Union Jack, in a while. So
It's pretty straightforward as far as just like a West Coast IPA.
yep.
I'm glad that you have had terrible experiences in Chicago airports. I don't know if I told you my story of coming back from Oregon where I got stuck in Midway and like got bumped on my flight, which was fine. It was my choice. And then ended up pretty much getting my flight canceled and having to stay awake for 24 hours. So
I have slept on about every damn bench and surface in O'Hare, I think, as well. So yeah, I feel your pain there. Dang it, I'm trying to look for the name of that bar. Yes, the Publican, the name of the bar that I was thinking of. For all those you in Chicago were screaming, Publican, you dipshit. Yeah, they're been around for a long time and like emphasize service and some great beers, stuff like that. So, in any case, let's jump into. Do we jump into to our episodes? We announced them last week, so if you haven't got a chance to go out and watch these 3 sitcom Halloween episodes, pause. go download all 3 of them. Watch them back to back to back.
They're all on
Preferably
Hulu.
drink all 3 of these
like
beers.
that was so perfect. I was a little nervous. I was like, "Am I gonna be able to watch all these?"
Were they all on
And
Hulu?
all
I got
on
rid of my
Hulu.
Hulu. I don't know why.
I still don't know why. How did you watch all of them?
I got on Amazon Prime. So one of them was free on Amazon Prime. One of them I paid like 99 cents for an episode. And then mine, Family Matters,
It's like
I paid
$1.99.
$2.99, I think, an episode. I was like, what? It's like $8.99 for the season.
They have the entire series on Hulu, dude.
I
You
know.
could like binge that shit.
I was just, for
I was
whatever
actually
reason,
thinking
I was
about
like,
it.
I haven't watched Hulu in a long time. And I deleted the subscription. I canceled the subscription. But then, like, I feel like as soon as I do that, everybody's like, have you seen this thing on Hulu? I'm like, fuck. I shouldn't have done that. So we had like a
this
trial
is where we
period for a
need to
while.
low key be like, let's share this shit.
Well, you know,
Oh,
yeah.
trust me, I do that. I'm like, I leverage Spotify for Netflix and Hulu.
There you
Let's
go.
be
Look
real.
at that.
What a trade.
Doing trades, 2-for-1s.
Yeah, we all live together. Don't worry. Don't ask questions. Don't worry about it.
So is anybody? Well, I guess I get to choose who goes first as the reigning champ.
And that's new rules, but sure.
No, when you
No,
won, you
I
chose.
did- I did choose because I went
No,
last.
Steve and I. Steve and I simultaneously went, no. Mom, I'm telling.
All right,
no.
Carmen.
Yes, no, you definitely chose. Don't fuck
That's
around.
true. You're right.
You definitely chose.
remember.
So let me think. I did not think about this beforehand.
We
I
could
don't
rock,
want to go
paper,
first.
scissors.
Here's what I think we should do. Meg, you've never went first. She gave this outraged look. This is literally Showdown episode number 3. I went first the first time. Steve went first the second time.
Yeah.
You've never, and I said, Meg, you've never went first, and she did like a.
We don't have enough history for you to contest this.
The dirtiest player in the game, Meg. She can't keep them alligators down. The dirtiest player in the game. Yes, Meg's going first.
Fuck you.
Then
Okay.
You're acting like a real peckerhead at the moment.
You're being a real peckerhead, Meg. And then I'll go second and Steve goes third. How's that?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my pick.
I
don't
see your,
want
I
to go
see your
third.
game.
I don't want to go third. I don't want to go last, but I don't want to go first. You know what that means? Middle.
You're the middle child.
Yep. For sure.
Always forgone. Remember that. Always forgone.
This is gonna be a bloodthirsty episode. this whimsical.
It's probably
topic,
not, actually.
This very festive topic is where blood gets drawn.
You have to remember, Meg has already tasted gold.
She has.
And
But I
haven't.
didn't get to
Yeah.
touch the
But
belt.
exactly, but she didn't get to take the belt
Brian.
home.
That's true.
Withheld the belt from
Guys,
me.
I told
I am
you.
angry.
I explained this to you. The supply chain. I was waiting on precious
Suez
metal.
Canal. It was
Do
full
you
of
guys-
metal and yoga mats. I couldn't get it.
Do you guys not remember that Suez Canal situation? That fucking thing was wedged sideways. I made calls. It didn't help. All right. So we are talking once again about sitcom Halloween episodes. Meg, it's the floor is yours. Oh, we
I need a
also
beer. I need a beer.
specified. Yeah, I'll hand you a beer. Which one do you want?
Dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice, easy. So if you guys remember the religious horror episode, there's a bottle opener over here for you. Oh, well, you got that as well. So if you remember, we each talked for roughly 49 minutes about our
Right.
movies. So we've instituted a little bit of a new rule where each person gets maximum 20 minutes to talk about their pick, whether it be a movie. Should be easy here because we're doing like 22-minute sitcom episodes.
Right.
So you shouldn't have to talk for 20 minutes, but maximum 20 minutes. And then there'll be a period of time after that to defend yourself and field objections and that sort of thing. But in the spirit of keeping things under 3 hours, like we did last time, that's what we're going to kind of do. So
I think it was kind of worth it last episode.
no, it was great. A lot to discuss.
Yeah, there was a lot to discuss. It was heavy metaphors,
I like
a
how
lot
you
of
just
stuff
like
going on in that.
justified you guys talking for hours.
But
on it.
this
Listen,
time-
it's Ben Wheatley.
Yeah.
Come on. We probably could have talked about 3 hours for that movie, actually, but
yeah.
But this time we're doing sitcom, so let's try to.
we probably don't need to wax
I
poetic.
still
for today.
feel like Brian will somehow find a way.
I will. Listen, you're going to have to cut me off still, for sure.
I wish we had a bell. Can we have a bell?
I have a timer.
There
Okay,
you go.
I have a
same
timer with my
difference.
notes. So I have all my things set up.
Eventually, we need to start editing the like, ding, 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 this bout is one fall.
I legit think we need to find an announcer. We should actually get an announcer involved in this situation.
I'll jump on Fiverr.
There you go. Bruce Buffers on Fiverr doing this.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Tell us what you're doing.
So I chose Brooklyn Nine-Nine, season 2. I'm forgetting the episode number, but it was their Halloween episode, Halloween 2. And as this show typically goes, it's always like there's always some sort of hijinks going on with like some sort of like serious thing, which so like it creates this like layer. But this episode, which I find it to be really hilarious, is that not only we are now revisiting year 2 of the heist, where Jake Peralta, played by Andy Samberg,
he's so funny,
so fucking great.
I'm sorry, I've loved Andy Samberg since his first digital short.
Mhm.
You know, I've always been a huge Andy Samberg fan.
Yeah, like you think about it, even I don't know, I still can jam out to Lonely Island regularly and still be like,
Hot Rod.
my chains and my turtlenecks. Let's do this, guys. So this year, putting on the table that they want to go after the basically what is the highest person in a precinct?
He's like their
Detective
captain.
Holt.
Yeah,
Captain
he's the
Holt.
captain.
Captain Holt.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to go after his watch this year. So I think it's really fun because like there's this layer of that. Yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna go after this, and Andy Samberg is like, I've got this covered. All while
So they do a Halloween bet in the first one.
They do.
Okay, so I didn't see the first one. So this is a reoccurring thing. The Halloween bet, like
The
And
Halloween
they've
episode is always
continued to do it since
it's like a challenge or a bet.
Right.
If I
Yeah.
can do this, you get this. If I do this, if I
Right.
don't,
And it
you know,
always
whatever.
almost seems like the stupidest type of pranks too. It's just like, let me just get the stupidest thing, but they take it very seriously and they go very in depth with it. They're like, there's layers upon layers of how like intricate, of like the
like
plot
they've
is.
been judging.
Yes,
they've been
planning.
plotting for over a year, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes, we do learn in this episode that Captain Holt has been plotting for a year. So anywho, but we also
Don't
have
mind me,
going
I'm
on
just
this.
nibbling on
Yeah, I mean,
candy
all I'm
corn.
hearing is candy corn this entire time.
I can't
Mix the
control myself.
candy corn with the Takis, dude.
I'm gonna. Ooh, don't.
Please
you
do it
don't
now.
challenge me with a good time.
This is what you're hearing right now. Do you hate it or do you hate it?
I don't hate him. Doesn't add a lot. Sorry.
Yeah, so also we now have like the whole precinct is preparing for the annual Halloween, like, oh, kids are coming trick-or-treating, which I never went to a police station for trick-or-treating, and I feel like
they
then as
talked
I got
about it
older,
was like a community outreach that they were going to go
Yeah.
hand out. Around here, when we go trick-or-treating, the policemen and the fire trucks drive around in neighborhoods where they trick-or-treat and hand out bags like that.
Mhm.
They do it around
aren't
here.
they just fucking nice?
Yeah, they do.
I never had that shit.
When I used to live in beautiful Waukesha, Wisconsin, one of the cops in the neighborhood used to drive around with his just his like headlights off, but just the top of the car. I don't know what the hell they're called, lights on.
It's the cherries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
playing the Halloween theme, like John Carpenter Halloween
Oh, okay.
theme, like blasting it over the speaker.
I don't know if that's like super annoying because I mean you get pulled over and you're like fuck, and then also you're like these are intense. Turn them off. I get it. You pulled me over. Just fucking tell me what I need to do here.
Yeah, it was awesome. You would just hear like this insanely loud John Carpenter coming down the street because he would just be crawling right up the street. There's
Super creepy.
everywhere.
Michael is probably in the car with him. He probably stole the car after breaking
kind
out of
of murder
prison
am I gonna
again. I'm also. We should at some point talk about Halloween Kills, but whatever. But anywho, yeah. So there's like all this going on, and like one of the main characters, Gina, who is played by Chelsea Peretti, also married to Jordan Peele.
She's so fucking funny.
She's so amazing.
I used to listen to her on Pete Holmes's podcast like 10 years ago. She used
Yeah.
to be on that all the time.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, she's like a great comedian. I just kind of like that dry personality that she just continuously brings to her characters, and
Yeah.
it's just like it's just really entertaining. And so she's almost like, again, we're bringing layers to this, which is why I think I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine so much. It's like there's just yeah, you have these hijinks and these funny things, but you also have these other things going on. And so she just like bails on the whole, like, okay, screw you, precinct. I need to go do this thing that's important. So anywho, we now start unfolding that Andy Samberg, Jake Peralta, has a plan to steal this fucking watch. And I love it because he is like straight up like, I have every base covered. I'm actually going to bring in a criminal. So they're police officers collaborating with fucking criminals to like try to steal this watch.
Yeah, this is a very like super silly show. If you've never
Super
seen it before, super silly,
It's
super
so
surreal. Like
goofy.
they kind of like have the facade of it being like a police procedural where everything happens in the office and stuff, but it's tons of just like over the top silly jokes. Andy Samberg essentially plays a child as a cop.
But let's
Yeah.
also be real. Like let's bring into the rap of like Terry Crews. Terry Crews is this buff, handsome black man.
He's a good looking.
Oh my
son of a
god.
bitch.
But he's in love with yogurt. And that's the joke. Like he's a running joke of like
He's kinda
this
a
super soft.
softy,
He's
yeah.
so soft.
But he's super
he has
intimidating
these
and huge.
twin daughters and this like beautiful wife. And so it's just like he has this like very tough facade that he's like, ugh. But then he just like gets obsessed with if people touch his yogurt.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like that's the amazing part of it and
Yeah.
the funny part. We get into the actual heist. We have fingers, which that was also one of the notes that I had in this, is just like the amount of different nicknames. Like I'm trying to think of I'm really bad at names. I'm gonna pull it up right now.
I loved when they.
Joe Trujillo, Charles Boyle is just like, I want to be double deuce, and you're just like, what the
Dude,
fuck,
Joe
dude?
Latrulia makes that show.
Oh
It's
my god,
so
yes,
fucking funny.
so fucking good.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like even then the criminal that they bring into the picture is Fingers,
Yeah.
and then there's
He's like a
jokes about
pickpocket, right?
yeah, he's a pickpocket.
Yeah.
But then there's also just random jokes about about him fingering and fingers things, and I'm
I
just
love
like,
when
okay,
they're like,
whatever.
wait, you hired a criminal? And Andy Samberg's response is, grow up.
Yeah. Grow up. Of course.
Because there's like what's the detective's name that she's kind of like the goody like people
Oh
pleaser.
yeah, Amy Santiago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like,
Which, again,
wait,
if you get
hired
super
a criminal? He's
invested-
like, grow up.
Yeah, no, but
Meanwhile,
he's super
he's hiring him
invested.
for it. Right, it's great.
Yes, Amy and Jake are married and have children. So, sorry, I
Oh,
am very
so
invested.
that later on they're
In
in a
future-
relationship?
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah, they are. It's so
Oh,
cute.
I
It's
need to
so
watch
cute.
this show.
You
It's
need to
such
watch
a
the show.
funny.
So
It's such a
fun.
funny show.
Honestly, if like you're binging any like normal sitcom, this is a fun one to binge.
I've seen like a decent amount of episodes, and I always like them. And I went like I had a long flight, like cross country flight one time, and I cranked through like most of a season.
Yeah.
But I never picked it back up. It's really funny.
So yeah, so they're planning the heist. Then I feel like it just like quickly jumps to the heist, which is like an interesting move, and I feel like they played it out to be like this is not the most important part in how they actually like presented it to the audience. Is like, okay, yes, now we're doing the heist, and we have Fingers fucking pulling this off, blah blah blah. So then it just
They have like a whole bunch of like red herrings and like diversion tactics to get
Yeah.
the captain's attention, right?
But
Yeah.
it all happens like within like a couple minutes.
Right,
like,
right.
it's
That-
not the
that-
culmination to the episode.
right,
back
and,
up.
that's my point to like that comment is like it is not the point of what the episode is going on, because like when you start watching it, you're like, this seems to happen too fast.
Right.
Like this is not the point. So anywho, like Andy Samberg's character thinks that he has won this fucking bet, and he tries to get the watch back from Fingers, and come to find out, he's like, thanks for the watch, buddy.
Yeah, he like
I'm a
double
criminal.
He double crosses him, kind of.
Yeah, in more ways than one. Like it starts unfolding where all these like terrible things start to happen to Jake Peralta, and he's just like, oh my god, everything is just falling apart. But also one of the things that I loved is like this watch started becoming referred to as the Death Watch, because it was like Captain Holt's husband's father's watch that he gave him before he died, and I was like, yeah, Death Watch. I want a Death Watch. Like that's what I want.
Like I want it to be cursed.
Yeah.
Like if you get a death watch, it's got some sort
I feel
of weird.
similarly like
curse.
when I go to buy a house that I want to make sure it's haunted. Like I want to
Yeah, I'm
walk
always like,
into that.
Who died here? How'd they die?
Yeah, like talk to me about the ghosts. so about the ghosts.
Yeah.
What I love about this episode is like how all these terrible things start happening to Andy Samberg, and then it just like all kind of culminates together. You're like, this is not going as planned because again, everything happened too fucking fast. You're like, more's going on to this.
Yeah.
So we come to find out Andy Samberg's character gets arrested because he lost his fucking badge. And this is when everything comes
because he breaks
together.
into the car
Yeah.
car impound,
Yeah,
his car gets towed, like
Right.
everything is happening in this very like whatever the opposite of serendipitous way is.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's the best
so
way.
he's just like, what is happening? Everything's falling apart, and so it's almost like
Right. And then we have
too
to bring him.
convenient.
Yeah, we have to bring it all back together. And then, like, when he gets arrested, and then Captain Holt comes into play, and he's like, but I mean, we should describe Captain Holt's character right now, too, is like, he's a very stoic, like, does not give a fuck about jokes. He's just like the anti-joke.
Super dry.
So dry.
Yeah.
He's like, I would rather be at the opera than doing anything else in my entire existence. And it's just, I feel like that plays into his charm and like how he develops as a character over the seasons and so on and so forth. So he basically exposes, as Jake Peralta is getting arrested, that everyone who Andy Samberg or Jake Peralta like thought was on his side is now officially, they were not on his side.
Mhm.
They were all against him. So we talk about how Fingers, the criminal,
Mhm.
he has now been played on two behalves. Is that Captain Holt has been planning this months prior to Jake Peralta. He's like, well, I'm going to make you go after my watch. So I'm going to start every time you walk in, I'm going to be like, you are X minutes late. You are X minutes
Like
early in
subliminal-
Chicago time.
subliminally,
Yeah, so he's playing
influencing
him the whole time.
Mhm.
So then he starts seeing like he is now focused on Fingers gets arrested. And he's like, I see him intrigued. He's like, he's a pickpocketer. So he already played the watch card. Now he's playing the Fingers card. So he's like, boom, boom, boom. These things are coming together. And then ultimately, he's like, the entire team wants him to be embarrassed. They want him to feel so much shame and hilarity and like make him lose and make
They
him do
basically-
all of the paperwork. It's
Yeah.
fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
And I kind of like love that dynamic is that because like Andy Samberg's character is like such a lovable character, but at the same time, if you knew him as a real human being, you're like, this dude's fucking annoying.
Yeah.
Shit.
He'd be a
Like-
lot.
Yeah.
He'd be so much.
I love the like the admiration that and like camaraderie of the group. Like I know it's like it's a funny show. There's a bunch of like really great one-liners, which I definitely want to talk about some of them. But when they have such an admiration for each other. Like at one point he says something to the captain. He's like, after he's done, he's like nervous. I forget what he's saying. It's Andy Samberg's character. He goes, "Okay, love you, bye."
Yeah, always. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, that's a definite thing throughout the series of like Captain Holt is his father figure,
Yeah.
but also like he's always trying to one up him and everything.
Yeah,
as
and
well.
like Joe Latrulia is like his like little brother, like silly
Yeah.
little brother,
Yeah.
and but is also like really looks up to him. So he's kind of like the little. So like it's straight out of or like Hot Rod. It's like what's the guy who plays like the little brother in Hot Rod? His name is escaping me. But in any case, he's like he very much reminds me of him. Where there was one line I wrote down where it's like he gets him in the shopping cart because his car got towed. So he puts him in the shopping cart. They're gonna chase the criminal or whatever in the shopping cart, or no, I'm sorry, chase the tow truck to try to catch his car that's being towed away. And he's like, I'm trying not to jostle you too much. You're the champagne of friends. And he's like, what was the other one? Yeah, he goes like, we're doing it, because Andy Samberg's in the cart and Joe Latrulia's character, which is Boyle's, pushing him, and he's like, we're doing it, Boyle, we're Tokyo drifting. He's like in the cart. They're just such like they're like little kids. They're like a 10 and 8-year-old child, but they're cops. Yeah.
Little kids playing cops.
No, it's super fun. Trying to pick up where I left off.
Sorry. Yeah. So we're at the end. He kind of he kind of
reveals
like
everything.
Reveals it, and it's all in good fun, but it's also like everyone kind of wanted Andy Samberg's character to get
they all
like
wanted
humbled,
him to
if
feel,
you will,
because
he was taking it so seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, he's always like taking the most ridiculous things very seriously and the most serious things very not serious.
Right.
And it's just like amazing. And I think, but at the same time, they always play him off to be like a very confident, like capable fucking detective and stuff like that, which is like super fun to the episode.
I love
Or
when
show.
he goes, whenever he reveals, when Captain Holt reveals to him, and he's like, "What? No."
What?
What?
No.
No.
Yes.
What? He does it like 3 or 4
Constant
times.
shock. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I think it's super fun too. Yeah. So wrapping up though, again talking about the layers. So we learned that Gina Linetti is like trying to learn how to dance. She's trying to go back to school,
Yeah.
and she collects Terry Crews to do this dance competition
Because she got
like,
kicked out of her dance
Yeah.
group. Because she's like, I wrote it out. She's like, now they want to kick me out of the troupe only because I missed 8 rehearsals in a row. Like she acts like they're idiots.
That's what I love about it. Like I love about her character. She's like, it's always about what someone else is doing.
She's like
It's never
incredibly
about-
self-centered,
super
and like incredibly dismissive of everyone else, but in a funny way.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
absolutely.
So she's like the most jerk, irredeemable character in the
Yeah.
show, but she always
Absolutely.
like comes back around and makes you like her somehow.
Yeah. I ultimately think my episode was the best. I feel like this whole show is going to be a tough one for all of us.
It is. Yeah, it is. Because it's sense of humor, which is so subjective, right?
Yeah.
I think this show is really, really funny. I particularly love Scully and Hitchcock.
Oh, always,
which are
always.
because they are
They're
the
dumb.
Homer Simpson dumb characters, and it's so easy and fun to write jokes for dumb characters.
Yeah.
Like it's so great to
They get put in like the most ridiculous. Like we're not going to give you a nickname at all because you're going to forget. And you're going to like not understand what you're talking about.
yeah.
And then they have Scully to like sing the opera throughout it, and just like to distract Holt while they're trying to do the hijinks of sorts.
Yeah.
Like it's just it's amazing.
So I again haven't seen a lot of episodes of the show. At the end, they have Terry Crews take his shirt off at one point.
Always.
You know when
Right.
he's doing this. Is that just like a reoccurring thing? I feel like
often.
that
It
guy, like
happens
half
often.
of his
That's his career.
Yes, he's very good. He's very funny. I like him a lot. But like every show or movie I've ever seen is I'm gonna take it off and bounce my pecs because
That
yes, he's
is
jacked.
an
Yeah.
attribute.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But and I think like that's what plays to this whole situation is that like he can be so buff and then it always comes back to somehow yogurt being like a factor. This episode didn't have too much of it, but I always appreciate that they're like, "Where's my yogurt?"
Mhm.
Blah blah blah.
Yogurt and suspenders. That's
Yeah.
his thing.
So
Yes.
so here's my my argument against
do
your
it,
pick.
do it. Try
Here's
it,
where I'm just
try.
taking I'm taking a swing from the
Do you
from
want
the
to take
from
a
the
shit on
third
this
row.
episode?
No, I really like it because I really think the show is funny, and I genuinely do want to listen or kind of watch more of it. This episode could have happened on any holiday.
Yeah.
It could have happened on. I mean, it would have made more sense on April Fool's Day. It
bit.
would have, you know what I mean? It could have been a Christmas episode.
I can
It could have
understand
been a
that.
New Year's episode. It
But I
probably would
think-
have made more sense as a New Year's episode because I mean, like, I get the last prank of the year or something like that. Like, it had almost nothing to do with Halloween.
But I feel like at the same time, it couldn't because of the fact that the way they used like Halloween to their favor of like that party bus and stuff like that. Like, granted, you can have a party bus, but who's wearing costumes at a random party
You're
bus?
right. The costumes did come into play,
Like-
but they could have wore disguises. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was the thing. And there was some good Halloween imagery, which for a Halloween episode, spooky, festive imagery is big for
Yeah.
me. And it did have some of that, which was nice.
But I also loved like the idea of hijinks on like Halloween that
True.
doesn't always
Playing
happen.
tricks. Yeah.
Yeah, like it doesn't have
good
to
point.
be. Yeah.
I'll say I'm a big fan of heist films. Spike Lee's Inside Man.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the best like heist films
Oh,
ever.
for sure.
So I enjoy anything that comes across as like a nice heist film,
Mhm.
and this one totally does. And it's even better than like the Ocean's 11 and 12 and 13 and everything,
Mhm.
because it has it sets everything up for you. You see everything happen in real time, and there's no Like the twist.
There's no like, hey, let's pull the curtain off now and show you everything and how it happened.
Right. Well, I mean, there is like Holt does it, but you've already seen all the setup.
I was talking about the movie. I was talking about the Spike Lee movie. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The Spike Lee movie is fine because like everything is set up and you see it happen in real time, and that makes sense as well.
Yeah.
But but like with this film with this show compared to like the Ocean's 11's films always end with some like grand thing that you never even saw coming, which is not a good.
Could you have?
Right. Yeah. Right. Which is not a good thing. Like it's just something that comes from left field.
It's like a murder mystery where they're like the whole time it was the gardener who you never met.
Right. Exactly. But this you see all the setups of Peralta's car getting towed and the bears stopping him to steal his stuff.
And you even knew in the party bus something was going on.
Yeah, the party bus was weird. So you knew something was up.
Why are these people like talking to him the way they are and all that stuff? You knew he
was
getting
Halloween. It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you knew he was getting double crossed at some point. Once that happened. So.
Yeah, you knew some double cross was happening. So when Holt reveals everying, it makes sense. Yeah, and you saw the steps already, so it's fine.
Yeah. Very well written show.
Yeah.
Really, I love the quick. I think we talked about this in a recent episode too. It reminds me of a Parks and Rec or something like that, where it's like the jokes per minute is like rapid fire. So,
it's one of the creators of Parks and Rec also is a creator of this show.
Makes sense.
It's Michael Schur.
Okay, so that totally makes sense. It has a similar point of view. It has a similar sense of humor. Just the dumbest little things in the world. Because Andy Samberg, you're writing jokes. It's literally like, what would a child do if he was a cop?
Right.
Or like the Scully and Hitchcock. What would two dumb guys do if they were cops?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I love when Andy Samberg he's dressed as a magician when he's kind of like doing the heist, whatever. Right. And they come into the the meeting room and he's like, I was behind the door the whole time. It's like, we just walked into the room.
Yeah.
Like, it's not impressive. It just seems like something a child would do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Listen, good episode. Not as good as mine, but a good episode overall.
It's a good heist show, but where's the Halloween?
Excuse me. Let's wait to digest both of these.
We made you go first, so you gotta take your lumps.
You know
Peckerhead Meg.
I legit want to probably take this to our listenership.
Fast forward 20 minutes, and we're arm wrestling and gouging eyes. And
dude, I'm here for it.
We'll see how the voting comes out. I mean, if voting comes out in somebody's favor unanimously, then maybe we'll go with that. But
yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves, guys.
Like I said, I think this is gonna be a tough episode.
Yeah, well, before we jump into mine, let's crack this here beer. We just started passing this one around here. This is Drecker from beautiful Fargo, North Dakota. Drecker Brewing Company, pineapple upside down cake. Slang du jour, sour a la mode, and it smells. It's as promised for sure. I love how on the label there says like the ingredients. It says malt, hops, flora. So malt, 2-row, oats, carafoam, wheat, hops, Hallertau Blanc, floras, lactobacillus, and then whatever their house ale yeast is, and then gimmicks. I like that they just literally just right on the nose. Yeah, this is what
they're like.
Yeah.
No, we're
very. It's pretty funny they go through everything else that people would maybe or maybe not know about.
Yeah.
It's got lactobacillus in it. It's got all the different hops.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then gimmicks to make it taste like candy.
Yeah. Pineapple, cherry, granola. Kind of interesting there. Brown sugar, cinnamon, lactose, and vanilla beans. And the cinnamon you smell it.
Yeah.
It smells like pineapple and cinnamon.
Yeah, it smelled like apple pie with pineapple in it.
Yeah.
Which just really made me want that as like a dessert.
Oh, it's actually, I'm digging this. Normally not my cup of tea, but this is fucking tasty.
Hey, can I see that can? I'm gonna go right from the can.
Yeah, go for it. So I will jump into my pick for the month here, which is if you listen to last mini-sode, you know what's coming here. I'm going straight 90s TGIF with this sumbitch. I'm going Family Matters Season 8, Episode 7, entitled Stevo. Stevo. It's Stevo.
This is not Jackson.
It
Hello,
is
my name is Johnny Knoxville, and welcome to Jackass.
Yeah, it is a Jackass crossover. No, it's Stevil.
Hi, my name is Brian Reed, and I am welcome to Halloween.
It is. This one aired on October the 25th, 1996. I remember watching this one as a kid in 96. October 96, I would have been 11 years old. This was right up my alley. And this is such a fucking wild episode, which I love. Had you guys seen this before?
Actually, no.
No.
It seemed vaguely familiar to me. I think because Family Matters changed networks from ABC to CBS.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
Yeah. And I think this was in that time where they kind of left TGI Friday and went to, or TGIF, however you remember it.
I definitely remember TGIF.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Thank God it's Friday.
Right.
Yeah,
I was
Right.
mainly obsessed with Sabrina though at that point.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that was definitely, Sabrina, between Sabrina and The Secret World of Alex Mack. Those are my, between those two and probably Laura Winslow, those were my biggest crushes of the 90s. So I was definitely all about it.
You mean you didn't like Clarissa explaining things to you?
I did like that too. Yes, for sure. She was in my adolescent preteen crushes. Secret World of Alex Mack, top tier.
Oh yeah.
For me. And then probably a Laura Winslow, and then after that. But so some of it's funny because back in the day, like now we were talking about it's August. It's the first week in August, and Halloween is, I don't want to say in full effect, but you go to the store, there's Halloween stuff. Well before August, back then in the 90s, you had to ease into it, and you were looking for little hints. If you were a Halloween nerd back in the 90s, you were looking for any little bit of Halloween insight that you could find, or hints of Halloween before really October started. So this show, Home Improvement, Roseanne, sitcom Halloween episodes, like the imagery, the commercials, all those things were like a big trigger in terms of like anticipation of the Halloween season in the 80s and 90s, whether it be specials, sitcom Halloween episodes, whatever. Like, definitely for me is one of the biggest kind of nostalgia triggers for Halloween, and this episode is way up there for me. So the great thing about it is it starts off and immediately you see a jack-o'-lantern. Very first scene, as soon as it pops up, you see a jack-o'-lantern. So you get that like chef's kiss of Halloween right at the beginning.
I totally love it, like how they set it up. It's just like, yes, we're gonna do this spooky episode.
Yes,
and they still always set Steve Earle's character up to be the biggest bitch on the planet.
Yes.
Like, oh, spooky! It's a fucking jack-o'-lantern.
I know.
Oh.
The spooky preamble. I guess probably The Simpsons pioneered that. With Marge coming out on stage on like one of the very first Halloween Treehouse of Horror episodes, and saying like, maybe put the kids to bed. She kind of does this little like preamble beforehand, and I love that because this was, you got to remember, this was like Tipper Gore era,
right?
Like, don't show the kids anything scary.
Oh, right.
They're gonna shit their pants and turn into serial killers if you show them a jack-o'-lantern or something like that. So there was this kind of spooky, preamble. And first of all, for me as a kid, that made you either more scared or more excited, or both. For me, it was definitely both. So like, especially, you put an M rating or a parental advisory on a CD, that just makes me want it fucking more. Right. So great off the bat, you have Steve, and then the little kids in the episode, which I don't remember their names, but they were kind of involved in it. It's Steve's more scared than them kind of thing, right? So
we've got you, bro.
Yeah, I love it. So you jump right into it. First of all, you get reminded that there's a laugh track. And I love a laugh track. I am a sucker for a laugh track. It just makes it, I managed a comedy club in college, and laughter makes you laugh.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I really wish more shows would still do the laugh track, because it just makes it sounds stupid, but it signals to the audience what is supposed to be funny, and it makes it more funny. Like I have seen, local comedians do the same 5, 10, 15 minute opening, sets over and over and over again as a comedy club employee, and saw audiences when there wasn't anyone in the crowd, an open mic on a Wednesday night versus a Friday night with a full house. And the jokes hit completely different in a group, right? Laughter is contagious. So like I love a laugh track, and I appreciate that about this. So first of all, this episode is very much, this is season 8. The show's been around for a long time. Steve Urkel, you got to remember, for those of you who are a little younger, you might not remember, Steve Urkel was like one of the biggest, like most recognizable characters in the country at this point. Everyone knew Steve Urkel. Everyone knew his catchphrases, the did I do that versus anybody want some cheese? Like he was the shit back
I feel
then.
like he always brings it like full circle. Sorry to like interrupt you. It's just like when he's like even in and be like, I love cheese. My name's Steve. I love cheese. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Yes. Oh, he's so good. If you haven't seen it, well, he's seriously, it's got to the point where like it became so almost trite that it was like somebody doing a Borat impression in 2010, where it's like, it's not funny because it's so trite. It's so in the zeitgeist. But now with a little bit of separation, with a little bit of time has passed, now all of a sudden I hadn't watched this in a while. It's kind of funny all over again.
And he actually didn't even get into either of those catchphrases in this episode.
No, he didn't do either. I was waiting for because I hadn't seen this in a few years, and I was waiting for a did I do that? He never even did I do that.
He could have totally done that with like the thing with the doll coming to life and being like,
he just didn't. Yeah, but it's so the episode is very much focused around Steve Urkel, and then I was thinking we just christened the podcast cave here Cryptor Kel.
Right.
If you remember, this is pretty serendipitous. If you remember, Steve Urkel, do you remember the episodes where he went in the machine that made him cool?
Yeah.
And he wasn't Steve Urkel. He was Stefan Urkel.
Yeah.
Oh, so this gives all new meaning to Cryptor Kel here.
So you're saying he's of Czech descent?
I think so. I think, listen, if Steve Urkel brewed a beer, we'd decoct the fuck out of it. That's all I'm saying. So the first off the bat,
why has that not been done yet?
Like, Steve Urkel, there's no way it has.
If any brewers are watching, let's fucking do
if
this.
there is IP to be thefted, some brewer has done it, right? So, like I mentioned before, the Winslow family, their house is one of the best and most like nostalgic 90s Halloween houses. Like they are doing die cuts on the wall, fake cobwebs everywhere, just decking out. It looks like my house at Halloween. Like they just go so over the top, which I absolutely love and sets the scene super, super well. And how fast moving this episode is. Again, it's 22 minutes. You got to crank it in there. But it's so great because within the first minute, you meet Steve's ventriloquist dummy. So the dummy's voice when Steve does it is just Jaleel White's actual voice,
right?
Essentially, which is Stefan Urkel.
Yeah,
right.
If you see in those later episodes, but it looks
might be a little deeper, but it's just like
I think it's pitched down, but
he puts it on a little bit when he's Stefan Urkel, but it's dressed exactly like him. It looks just like him. It is a mini ventriloquist dummy version of Steve Urkel, which is perfect. Steve is up in his bedroom. He's got the dummy with him. This is like, again, we're 2 minutes into the episode, and Steve falls asleep on the bed. Lightning strikes. He makes a very like kind of offhand wish about like, I wish the dummy would talk, basically. Like he's not a very good ventriloquist. He kind of says like, I wish I was better, want the dummy to, talk or whatever. He falls asleep. This great like lightning strike through the window effect happens. It's kind of this like poltergeist level thing happening like 4 feet away from him. He doesn't even notice. And then all of a sudden the dummy slowly raises his head, eyes open. He looks around. You get the 90s crowd noise, like ooh thing happening, which is just so wonderful. And we are 3 minutes into the episode, and the dummy is alive. And I absolutely love that. So the dummy immediately starts trying to hide, his kind of newly gained sentience from Steve.
That dummy has the most satanic voice that I've ever heard.
It's so good. It's so good. Absolutely.
So he wasn't hiding it from Steve, though. He was just hiding it from the Winslows.
Well, he hides it for a second from Steve. Just right off the bat, he kind of looks around, and all of a sudden he's still again. And Steve's like, what was that? But it does not last long, because Steve looks... He's gone from the chair he was on. He turns around again, and he's on the bed, and he says hi to Steve. And again, we're so early in the episode, and already the dummy's talking. He's got this fucking scary voice. He's got Scary Terry voice from Rick and Morty.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It is literally Scary Terry, which
Give me a cookie, bitch.
which is a take on obviously a parody of Freddy Krueger. Yeah. But it's just so incredibly deep, so like modulated, insanely like over the top spooky voice. He does the maniacal laugh, and then we cut to commercial. And that's such a great commercial cliffhanger. Like, not one household in America changed the channel after that shit happened. It was just like so perfect. Such a great timing for a commercial. But of course, I'm watching this on Amazon Prime, so it fades right back in. But it goes immediately into this like classic Twilight Zone type of shit, right? Michigan J. Frog type of thing, where like he only talks when Steve isn't looking. So Steve now looks crazy, and he's trying to explain to the Winslows that the dummy just talked. I swear, look, I'm going to prove it to you. Of course, the dummy just lays there, doesn't do anything. And as soon as everyone leaves, the dummy pops back up and starts talking in Scary Terry voice again. And Carl Winslow has some of the best reaction faces. He just sells it so hard. And that's what I love about him as a sitcom dad, compared to a Tim Allen or like a Robin Thicke or somebody like that. Carl Winslow and I will fist fight a motherfucker on this. Carl Winslow is the greatest sitcom dad of all time. He's so amazing. So he just doesn't miss a reaction with these faces. And of course, for those of you who know the show, Steve's kind of the clown. Carl's like making fun of him, and they have this kind of like love-hate relationship. Makes some very, this is just such a poignant, specific 90s thing where like it was very much okay at the time to make fun of people with like mental illness. And he makes some comment about, you're going to go check into the Rubber Ramada or something like that. And I just feel like the Funny Farm, I didn't even make the connection. The comedy club I worked at in college was called the Funny Farm in beautiful Youngstown, Ohio, for all those in the Mahoning Valley area who know about the Funny Farm. I worked there in college. But in any case, everyone leaves the room. The dummy starts talking immediately again. So like I said, it's this whether you want a Michigan J. Frog or potentially like a kind of a Twilight Zone kind of situation, because he's just fucking with Steve. And it legit scared me as a kid. As like a 10, 11-year-old kid, the voice of the dummy definitely kind of freaked me out.
Lie. Like, I mean, like I said, I don't think I saw this when I was a kid, but like I was terrified of anything doll related. Like
me
Chucky.
Too. Chucky freaked me out.
Any Are You Afraid of the Dark dummy episodes? Holy shit!
Because
I am freaking out.
Your toys coming to life and attacking you. That's a thing.
I was also a Cabbage Patch collector, so like I always had them, and
you had a lot of possible enemies. Is what you're saying?
I turned them against my siblings. Like when I shared a room with
the usual suspect lineup of your bedroom, you had a lot of them.
Yeah, here's a good side story of like my I always shared I don't think I had like a solo room until I was probably like 12. And so when I like to fuck with my sister, I would turn them around at the end of my bed and have them face her. And I had one of the ones that would like eat like vegetables.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm just going to do this. And then I'll just put my finger in there real fast and be like,
Yum, 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 yum. Yeah, I know exactly what doll you're talking about. My older cousin had that same doll. We talked about this way back on the intro episode, of my Aunt Jill, who was very much she introduced me to a lot like horror movies and spooky stuff, and she was just an absolute Halloween nut. In her old bedroom in my grandparents' house, they had these dolls, and the dolls would she would always tell us that no matter where you sit in the room, the doll's eyes will follow you.
Oh, yeah. Creepy
great.
shit.
And they kind of did. It was like an optical illusion, but as a kid, you're like, oh my God, these dolls are haunted. So like I had an absolute like a fear of dolls. I remember watching, Leprechaun, Friday the 13th. Like none of it really worried me that much. Child's Play freaked me the fuck out as a kid.
Screaming.
And it doesn't hold up for me
screaming.
personally. I still love the movies, but like it doesn't hold up to me as much now. But back then, boy, that was my trigger for sure. I absolutely was terrified of Chucky.
Honestly, though, like when I started getting back like into horror movies, Chucky was one of the first ones I faced.
Yeah.
I was like, it's on USA. I'm gonna fucking watch it.
USA Up All Night with Rhonda Shear.
Yeah, in my 12-inch TV that was super is like a 12 by 12 TV. Oh yeah. And so like I think like dolls were always something that like freaked me out. So this episode was like
it felt like it could
triggerly.
actually happen to you as a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. You're like, at some point these dolls could definitely fucking kill me.
I never had this.
You never had that worry?
No. I never had that.
I had two.
I had Teddy Ruxpin, and he would never hurt me.
He will never.
I had 2XL, the smartest toy robot in the world. 2XL, the smartest toy robot in the world. And we still have that 2XL. My kids play with it. 2XL freaked me out. And then I had, this is asking for trouble, my dad had this big plastic roller skating monkey with a suit and a hat.
Oh, Jesus.
And it was a plastic roller skating monkey. He still has it at his house. And you take the hat off, you put it in the hand, and what happened was you dropped a coin in the hat and it would roller skate.
Yeah.
Oh my
and
God.
it was in our basement. And
yeah,
it was
that's nightmare.
Terrifying monkey.
Why
Yeah,
would you
so
leave it in
I
your
was
basement?
for sure that monkey was going to murder me in my sleep. And I still, to this day, I'm pretty sure my life will end at the hands of that monkey. But the best part about this episode kind of gets revealed right now. The best part, they keep switching back and forth between Stevil, you find out his name is Stevil here in a moment, but the evil ventriloquist dummy is a ventriloquist 1 second, and then they shoot out. It's a multicam sitcom. You pop out, and all of a sudden, he is walking, and there is a person, a little person in the costume, walking around as Stevil, with human legs and human mannerisms and all these types of things. And it's just absolutely I remember floored me as a kid because you don't really see that much from Chucky do things like that.
No.
It's animatronic and you can kind of see it's this uncanny valley type of facial expressions. No,
but you're like, no, there's a body here now. Like a human body. Yeah.
And Steve is questioning his sanity and the dummy goes, "Hey, Steve, boo." And Steve freaks out, runs up the stairs, locks himself in the room. And then this is the part that really, really nailed me as a kid. First of all, good gag. Steve puts like a chair, in front of the door. And then he gets scotch tape out.
Tape.
And starts taping the door. Classic bit. Meanwhile, they are hammering home like Hitchcock type music,
right?
Like really intense, like trying to like classic, horror movie music. And the dummy climbs in the window. The idea of a dummy climbing in my window because my bedroom was on the second floor growing up was just absolutely horrifying to me. But he climbs in the window. And they start arguing, right? Steve says, you can't walk or talk. You're a dummy. And the dummy says something along the lines of, "Oh yeah, I suppose I can't dance either." And starts dancing, doing this quick little dance bit. Oh, it's so great. I love that part.
Yeah.
If you go on YouTube and you search like Stevil, the first thing will come up is like Stevil dance. Like that little dance clip will come off right off the bat.
I really want that Stevil like a mask for a Halloween costume.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I'm curious if like during that time.
I want to be a 6-foot Stevil. Oh, that would be so great.
Yeah.
The dummy explains kind of that Steve wished for the dummy to talk and he's evil now. And Steve says something like, "You're evil," because he explains that he wants to go on the road with Steve as a ventriloquist act, but he wants Steve to be his dummy. And then he says, the only thing that's in our way is the Winslows. So he's going to, quote unquote, kind of take care of the Winslows.
Take care of the Winslows.
He says something like, "You're evil" or whatever. And then the doll kind of is like, "Ooh, evil Steve. I'm Stevil," and kind of names himself. So he says, he's going to get rid of the Winslows. So this is the part that's kind of weird. And I love the vague nature of it. That really worried me as a kid watching it, because his everything he does is like, "I'm going to murder your family."
Yeah.
That is literally what he's happening. But they never come out and say it. They're like, "We're going to get rid of him." And all the terrible things he does to the family, they kind of soften the blow a little bit for kind of what he does, which we'll talk about here in a second. Meanwhile, second commercial break, we're 8 minutes in to the episode. All this shit is happening. We're 8 minutes in. So now it's time for Trick or Treat. The younger Winslow kids, I forget their names, but they're
Richie and 3J.
Richie. I couldn't remember the other one's name. 3J.
3J, I think, was he was late to the series.
He was, because I remember Richie being there when he was super, super little.
Right.
3J, which was whose kid? Somebody else?
He was actually. So I looked into it, and 3J originated as Steve's little brother in the Big Little Brother program.
Yep.
And then he eventually just got adopted by the Winslows. So he was kind of in the foster system.
Gotcha.
And they adopted him into the family.
That rings a bell. Absolutely. That definitely rings a bell. So it's time for them to go to Trick or Treat. Super mid 90s reference. They're Michael Jordan and Dennis Rodman for Halloween.
Yeah.
Which is great. And the one's got a bald cap on, and the one's got the crazy dyed hair.
Mm-hmm.
Steve starts to try to explain to Carl that the dummy's evil, and don't worry because I locked him in the trunk. Carl Winslow, again, I'll gush about. Reginald Vell Johnson, you would know him from Ghostbusters. You would know him from either of the Die Hard movies, and a bunch of other things, bit parts and stuff like that, and a lot of stuff. Obviously, Carl Winslow's kind of actually probably Die Hard's his most famous role.
Yeah, Die Hard's probably his most famous. And then, I don't know, I didn't remember this, but did you remember that Family Matters was a spinoff of Perfect Strangers?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Not until years later.
Right.
Because I never watched Perfect Strangers as a kid. So yes, but years later I learned that.
Yeah, but I think didn't it originate with Carl as a police officer on Perfect Strangers.
Yeah.
And
then now this is all about his family.
Yeah.
Yep. I learned that way later. But Steve locks him in a trunk upstairs, puts a note on it that says "Beware evil puppet" inside, which is great. And then there is a genuinely, still, I didn't even remember this, genuinely creepy shot of the doll kind of waiting inside the trunk with glowing eyes and a really creepy laugh.
He busts out.
And he punches through it. So Stevil eventually comes down the chimney. And Eddie, who is Carl Winslow's oldest son, is sitting in the living room on the couch. And Stevil comes down the chimney, kind of pokes his head out. Again, you get the crowd going the ooh, kind of thing. And he says, "Hey, I'm trapped." Eddie's character he's kind of dumb. That's Eddie's whole character he's kind of a goofball. Eddie thinks it's Santa, goes over to help him, and Stevil
no, it's Satan.
fucking murders Eddie off screen. That is what you are meant to believe. Drags him up the chimney, and Eddie's got to be well over 6 foot tall.
Yeah,
200-pound big guy.
Yeah, he's a big guy, and they pull him up the
up the chimney.
Yeah, off the chimney.
It's so great. So then Stevil has taken Steve Urkel's weird little car that opens in the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a reoccurring, kind of car throughout this, in a lot of different set pieces throughout the series. He's running down the children on their bikes with the car in their Halloween costume. So it gets really oddly dark all of a sudden. And then he reveals that he has the kids trapped of sorts in the wall.
See,
Murphy bed.
Yeah. I think it was supposed to be taken as, because everything is kind of cartoony.
Yes,
in the way the Winslows
very
are
surreal.
Killed.
Yeah.
And I think it was meant to be taken that their heads were mounted.
Yes, but they didn't. But they also wanted to we're not going to lean into this too hard.
Right, but they still had them alive and talking.
Yeah.
But like the whole thing is like you see earlier in the episode, the bed that Steve falls asleep on, he has Jordan and Rodman above him.
Right.
So then later Stevil mounts the kids' heads who were dressed up. I don't know. I really like that part.
I did too. It was
Was
just
the bed almost in the kitchen though too? I feel like the way they had it.
No,
set
it was.
up,
They were upstairs.
They were upstairs.
That's Steve's room upstairs.
Yeah, I just
in
like
the
feel like
attic,
the
if
way
you will.
they like moved it. It was just like, oh my god, he found them, and then he found
Yeah, because then he goes back
Mhm.
downstairs and he finds Laura, and Laura's kind of cut up in pieces, but again, they don't really show it. It's just like her individual body parts are almost like a magic trick, are in different cabinets, but they're all still moving independently. And she's obviously talking like she's not hurt, but she is suggesting that the
is
Stevil
annoyed.
kind of got her. Yeah, and she's
I am upset.
very perturbed.
I was cut in half.
Very perturbed.
Help
Yeah.
me. No, that was something like I noticed like everyone who died, like who was supposed to be like dead, was just like not actually hurt too bad, and you're like, I can tell.
They were taking very close care of trying not to make it too sinister.
Yeah.
Because again, it's TGIF, it's family, television block kind of thing on network TV.
Yeah.
So they
CBS in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like even today, CBS, with the exception of their murder shows, aren't, yeah.
So they threw a lot of stuff in there when it was like they threw a lot of like little gags to kind of add levity. Even when they put something very vaguely like not at all actually scary in there, they throw this little kind of fourth wall breaking joke in there where it's like Steve would mug to the camera and go like, what a goof, or something like that. It was so great though.
Yeah, you didn't see that a lot then.
Harriet, who's Eddie's mom, Carl Winslow's wife, is a Jack in the Box.
Mm-hmm.
She's turned her into a Jack in the Box kind of thing. And then he literally starts making Scary Terry / Freddy puns in the voice, and it's just, this is part of the reason I love this. It's so referential, obviously to Child's Play, obviously to Nightmare on Elm Street because of the voice, and then even a few other things. That the music was very Hitchcock-esque, if you will, and just really, I would say, enthusiastically leaning into this whole spooky premise in a big way. And like, they're not just like, this happened on Halloween. It's like, no, we're leaning in hard on this the entire way. So eventually Steve grabs the dummy, throws him in the fridge, and he tunnels out the back of the fridge. He goes to the other side and says something along the lines of like, hey guys, to Carl in the living room, did you see a dummy? He's like, I think I would have saw a dummy come through the wall or whatever. Carl's acting really weird, kind of sympathizing with the doll in a way. And then he kind of falls to the side and you see that the dummy was using Carl as a ventriloquist dummy of sorts. Yeah. So you're almost like, has he stuck his arm in the back of Carl? But then he's like, he's my puppet. He's under my spell or whatever. So he kind of tried to soften it again a little bit there. But it was pretty cool. And again, Carl Winslow, he's sold. He's leaning in super, super hard. So they're all the time, they're kind of switching back and forth between the dummy and the little person in the costume. Eventually Stevil reveals his plan, about, taking their act on the road and all that sort of thing. And Steve kind of goes, all right, I'm going to stand up to him. So here's the showdown. This kind of really ridiculous little fight scene happens, which was just a blast. Steve eventually rips the dummy apart, kind of rips it limb from limb, throws its arms here, head here, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, I think it's over at this point. But then the limbs all reassemble. Yeah. So here's my thing. It's almost Evil Dead 2-ish.
Evil Dead 2, Terminator 2, which would have been a little bit popular during the time.
I didn't even think about that. You're absolutely right. I'm sure it was referential to that to a certain extent, probably more so, I would imagine, than Evil Dead 2. And then he pops up in front of the screen and does the okay, now it's personal kind of gawks at the camera, which is great. Starts strangling Steve, and then probably could have seen where this was coming. It was a dream. The whole thing was a dream. Steve is sleeping up in his room the whole time. The dummy never moved. But then Eddie starts speaking in this very medical terminology about Steve's issues in his dreams and stuff, and then turns out he's kind of like an evil scientist. He's going to attack Steve with an electric egg beater.
Yeah.
It's like Reanimator,
so goofy and stupid. And then it's a dream within a dream. Don't worry, that was a dream. And then they close up on the dummy right at the end, which I thought was perfect because you're like, is the dummy gonna blink or wink or do something?
Yeah.
It doesn't. I don't think.
Just ends. It's like Inception.
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
No,
and again, and I've heard a lot of people compare this to Inception. I mean, I really think they're this on the same level.
Dreams within a dreams. Not sure if the top's gonna fall over or is the dummy gonna blink. It's all there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, this was Leonardo
Christopher
DiCaprio level performance here.
Christopher Nolan, huge Family Matters fan.
If you didn't know that, huge. I think he directed this episode. I'm not trying to start rumors. But the cherry on top, you get this little like behind the scenes credit sequence, and you see the kid who was playing Stevil, in the costume, the blue screen stuff with the rest of the family when they're being killed, the puppeteers. You see all this kind of behind the scenes stuff, just as like a "don't worry, kids, it's not scary" kind of thing, which is just so much of the time.
It's okay. Everybody's okay. Don't be scared.
Yeah, it very much was. It very much was.
Let's bring it back to reality.
Yeah,
for
it's
a
just
second.
But also, it was kind of cool to see because they obviously put a lot more work
Way
into
more than they had to.
into this episode than they do like any of the other episodes.
So much more than they had to, which was just so cool. And this is just like Halloween sitcom perfection in my mind. There was a couple other ones I was thinking of picking because I'm really fond of like some of the Cheers ones, which aren't as Halloween-y, but are really charming. But this one is just like top tier for me in terms of Halloween episodes. The live dummy walking around was played by a guy named Josh Ryan Evans, who, if you were a soap opera fan in the 80s, you would have known him from a long stint on Passions. He was also the young Grinch in How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which was the Jim Carrey remake one. He was
Huge
also
soap fan in the 80s.
Yeah.
When I was born.
Yeah.
I was born.
If you had parents, listen, not every listener is you, Meg. Come on. Other people have different experiences. But Baby Geniuses, he played like every character in there.
Okay.
He apparently had a long stint on Ally McBeal. But he actually had a genetic disorder which resulted in a form of dwarfism. So he was 14 when he played that character.
Wild.
He was 3'2", and he passed away at the age of 20 during a procedure related to a heart condition from his genetic disorder. But
I'm sad.
yeah, no, sorry to bring it down, but it was just I think it's important to call out the guy who played it because it made the episode for me.
It really was a standout in the fact that it's jarring, and I don't know that I loved. I don't love the crowd reaction the same way you do.
I just have so much fun memories about the laugh track and the crowd reaction.
What I'm a little bit surprised about with like the jump between the dummy to like the actor to do it, I was almost confused. I'm like, you could have gotten away with like close-ups and like any sort of, and like,
but
just
why
doing
not go the extra mile?
That was it did seem like so much extra work because like not only you had 3 almost characters in the same character to like have to pay attention to.
But how would he have come out and climb through the window?
Well, so I mean, like, I feel like if I were looking at this episode and as like doing this, is that I would have been like, close-ups can be the dummy.
Yeah.
And then everything else was the actor.
Well, that's what they did.
No, but I mean, like, when they did some of the scenes, like, it almost seemed like there was like marionette. You could tell.
Some.
Oh,
that,
yeah, moving.
You could tell that it was not the actor.
Yeah.
But it was the dummy, and you're like, why did they decide to do that? Even though it was like this, like,
because the dummy, when the character was there, or I'm sorry, when the guy was actually in the costume playing him, there was no speaking. Right. You know what I mean? It was just him when he was moving around. Yeah. So anytime they were speaking, they panned in a little bit, and it was the marionette, or not the marionette, the ventriloquist.
Because they probably needed the mouth movement.
Right.
I'm assuming
they wouldn't have been able to do it because it was literally
a mask.
It was a puppeteer.
Yeah.
As you saw, with his hand up the back of the dummy. So obviously they couldn't pull that off while the guy was in the costume.
Mm-hmm. And in order to do that kind of costume, it would have had to have been like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle-esque one where they had like a remote control off. And that's just too much money. funny.
Oh my god, I mean, and if anybody's fans of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie franchise, which spoiler alert, I am, huge expense and huge headache to get them to work.
Yeah,
they didn't want to work all the time. Like it was like they had so much downtime just fixing the puppets. They were so incredible. But it's millions and millions of dollars, right?
They'll never do anything like that again.
No, they won't. We got
that clarifies that, because I felt like that was one of those like standout things that I was just like, this is kind of annoying, and I'm like, they could have done XYZ, but they
could never have done it in a sitcom episode. It would have 10 times the budget immediately.
But that's why I kind of wish they kind of dialed back on the audience reaction, because it's so heavily edited. Yeah. And then it's so jarringly different between the dummy and the actor. Yeah. That having the audience reaction just kind of like, I don't know. Like, what are they actually watching and reacting to?
At the time, it would have been weird to not be there.
Yeah.
Because every single show had it.
Right, yeah. Yeah, at the time. And it would have been weird, like, between episodes. But
I remember even when I first started watching The Office in the 2000s, I remember thinking, like, it feels weird that there's not an audience reaction, because that was just so typical of every sitcom I've seen my entire life. But the next season, this was really popular. It was really well received. And the next season, they did Stevil 2. And if you haven't seen this yet, it's called Stevil 2. This would have been season 9. Stevil 2, this time he's not alone. And it introduces a character called Carlsbad, who is a ventriloquist dummy of Carl. And it's so great. And if we do another one of these, I was almost back and forth between which one I wanted to do, but you had to do the original Stevil one to set it up. But you get a second ventriloquist dummy in the next installment of Stevil 2. It's fantastic. So that is my pick. And I'm listening. It's fan-fucking-tastic. It's so good.
It's good, but it's broken.
In what way? Explain yourself.
Number of ways. Well, one,
I'm gonna eat this candy corn.
Sure, go ahead. One of the ways it's broken is it's left to be all a dream. Yeah, and that's lazy ass writing. I hate it.
That's sitcom. That's sitcom writing. I get it. But here's the thing: it's like
no, hold on. I'm not.
Okay.
No.
Let me defend myself. Let me defend myself.
No, because you need a full story on how to defend yourself. Right, because not only is this episode a dream, in the very same season, 3 episodes later, there is an episode in which Eddie has a nightmare in which he believes he's marrying Steve Urkel's cousin, Myrtle. So. The writers have completely tapped out on this episode for this season. They're just writing dream episodes every couple episodes. Okay,
I'll follow that.
Yeah, and not only that episode is called Nightmare at Urkel Oaks. They put a little bit of effort into the episode, but they make you think it's another horror movie episode.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't pick the season. I picked the episode. So take that shit and throw it right out the window, because I'm not defending the whole season. The episode, yes. I mean, you got to remember, 90s sitcoms, they were cranking them out hard and fast. They probably shot however many sitcoms on that same set, you know what I mean? Or on that same stage, rather, in that same...
I like cop-outs too, man.
What's that?
I like cop-outs too.
No, this is not a cop-out. That's I picked the one standalone episode. I'll defend the episode. I won't defend the season. And here's what was great about it. It was ambitious. They said, we are going to, because they could have very easily did just the ventriloquist dummy, just had him say a couple of words. They didn't have to do all the green screen stuff, which was like pretty, I don't say cutting edge, but like it was for a sitcom.
It was a lot
above and beyond.
The Harriet effects were trash, though.
Go look. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's 96. It was probably shot in 95.
Did you think it was funny that they made her put on the entire clown costume
when you did the thing?
When they did nothing but use from the neck up?
Yeah.
They made her sit in an entire clown costume and did.
Listen, it was Lord of the Rings level as far as I'm concerned. Yes, so they did a ton of things they didn't have to do. I mean, if you watch some of the very beloved other sitcom episodes, and the reason I didn't pick the ones I love from Home Improvement or Roseanne, Roseanne has some cool, like, kind of little, I don't want to say practical effects, but they're like, it's very Halloweeny. It's very great. And again, that might have been a predictable pick. I think I like this one because they did all those things they didn't have to do. And did they all work perfectly? No. But they were so ambitious, and it just showed, like, a love for this. If I'm not mistaken, this episode aired on a TGIF, was, of course, right before Halloween. The last TGIF block before Halloween, and I think they were all Halloween episodes. So, like, they were like, no, we're not phoning it in. We're gonna get ambitious with it, and I appreciate that, because there are some ones with Home Alone, or not Home Alone, Home Improvement, which are great, but they're just like, hey, we got a creepy guy coming to the door,
Right?
Yeah.
which is, again, still have a lot of
Trick or treat, yo.
have a lot of pleasant memories about that. But this one, just compared to Step by Step or Home Improvement, they just took it to 11.
Fair enough. Premise is also broke, though.
Okay. All right, explain yourself.
Steve is upset that he can't get a ventriloquist dummy to talk on its own.
Right.
However, to this point, Steve has also invented... He has invented a cloning machine, a teleporter, and then later in this very season invents a time machine.
Yeah.
This is all reinforced by when he's being chased by the dummy, he has a mantra of, I'm Stephen J. Urkel.
I have 189
Yeah.
IQ or whatever. Yeah.
I have 196 IQ.
He likes cheese.
You're telling me he can't
He also
figure...
likes cheese. Listen to me.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's-
but you're telling me he can't figure out how to make a dummy work on its own?
Steve, it's a love of the craft. It is a love of the ventriloquist arts. Yes. Could Steve build an animatronic dummy that also time travels and makes eggs and all that sort? Absolutely, he could. He could do it in his sleep. He could do it in one night. I believe in Steve Urkel that much. He has a love of ventriloquism, maybe?
Ventriloquy.
Ventriloquy. He is a diehard student of the craft, and he wants to do it himself. And it's like, any mad scientist. Yes, they can come up with inventions, but they can't fix themselves. And Steve wants to.
He wanted to be the person.
It's
doing
also
the
a dream.
ventriloquist.
Well, but it's not a dream in the beginning.
Oh yes,
Is it?
true.
Yeah.
You're right. That part's not a dream. You're
Yeah,
right.
he comes down and he tries to do the dummy act, and everybody's like, "Why is your mouth
He
moving?"
actually does it okay.
No,
He
doesn't.
No, he
At
doesn't.
all.
He doesn't
No, he
even
doesn't
do
do
it.
it okay.
No.
He
His mouth is
He's
literally
learning.
moving.
Guys,
Yeah.
guys, we've all learned how to do stuff in our time. Listen, the first time I ever stepped on a skateboard, can I kickflip first try? Absolutely not. Right? Give me some years. Give me some practice. Steve's a perfectionist. He's a high performance guy. He gets frustrated when he can't do it immediately. He needs some practice. Give him a
What
break.
I love about this dynamic is that you guys don't come at me this hard as with Steve and I come at
That's because
you.
your episode was trash.
Your episode just didn't have Halloween, so
yeah.
Fuck you.
You're
also-
out of the running.
also-
There's no way.
Also, he's the champ. He's the champ. I have to come at him.
You gotta come at the champ. Listen, you gotta come at the champ. When you
I'm
gotta
not trying to be too mean to you because I might be able to win you as a vote, but I have to take him down.
this is the politics are coming in here. When you got the high flying,
I actually think both of you guys are lying,
kiss
and I just
stealing,
think of that.
limousine driving,
Candy corn eating.
I just-
candy corn eating.
No, I just think
High-flying
you guys
son of a
didn't see
gun.
all the you guys didn't see the flaws in mine that we saw in the Family Matters episode.
Oh, they were flaws.
Oh yeah,
No
that
way.
that B story with Chelsea Peretti's character.
Hey,
it fucking
stop.
sucks and has nothing to do with Halloween.
You didn't bring
That's
it up.
terrible.
They
You
just
didn't bring it
needed
up.
her in the episode.
Hey,
Yeah.
Yeah.
your time is done. You had a chance to bring that up.
All right, guys.
You brought it up.
I have stood here and deflected all of your objections like a goddamn Jedi. Is there anything else, or should we move on?
No, I don't have anything else at the moment. It's actually kind of hard to pick apart.
No, I mean, I think like like I thought it was a fun episode, but I think like because your episode was the only one that was like as old as it was, that it was kind of hard to break apart because you're like it was the 90s.
Yeah.
And I think every bad thing about it was because it was the 90s.
It was a
the
different,
comedy's dated, the references are
totally
dated, but
different type of show.
You can't.
What Eddie like had some fairly misogynistic joke that I had to be like,
Oh yeah.
I hate this. It's like shit like that. That also, I didn't realize like, because I really didn't watch the episode or the show a lot. That like, but I think it's a great point talking about like how they like did another dream sequencing, because I also felt like they could have made it scary by leaving it as is to a certain extent, and probably just like not made it as extreme, but it could have been just as effective and just as scary, and possibly been like a future continuation if it didn't make it a dream sequence. Like I could see how that, and like I get behind the idea that it's like somewhat of a cop out to be like, it's just a dream. It's just a dream. But at the same time, they did like at that time. It's always good to think about time and place in everything. And at that time and place, all of those things that they did was fairly like freaky. Yeah. And fairly extreme. But some of it, I mean, coming in it now is just like, it was just silly and stupid in a lot of ways. You know? Where were the scary parts? I feel like in your episode, they don't all have to be scary, bud. You were just saying it could have been scarier. It's a TGIF sitcom. I'm not saying that every Halloween thing needs. I'm not saying that every Halloween thing needs to be scary. It was Brian spoopy. Hijinks is all part of the fun of Halloween. Okay. Am I not wrong? Mine was dripping with Halloween. Mine was literally coated in honey of hijinks. Yeah, bud. They were hijinks. I will not.
Hijinks and pranks.
Yeah,
that can happen anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime.
April Fool's episode. April Fool's episode.
No.
Could have been. I mean, there's a popular thing in New York called Santa Fest, where a bunch of people dress up as Santa Claus.
I don't think it would have been as effective if you didn't have the distraction of costumes and
That's what I'm
other
just saying,
Halloween.
though.
Yeah.
It's Santa Fest. People dressed up as Santa Claus.
So it couldn't have happened any other time, because how many
Santa Fest,
and April Fool's
Carnival.
How many
anytime costumes exist?
Santas do you guys fucking know?
Comic-Con. New York Comic-Con.
Easily been. Comic-Con. Renaissance Festival.
Yeah. Ren Fair.
Renaissance. Yeah.
Could have been Ren Fair episode. Yeah. Could have been Comic-Con episode.
All right, a lot of listen, we're getting back to Meg's. I've defended mine flawlessly. All right, Steve, let's hear yours.
Let's tear them apart. Let's do this. I'm fucking done.
Oh yeah. My God, this is playing so guys. My plan is working fucking perfectly.
You think it is?
Hey Brian, no. I legit think this is gonna go to the audience.
It might.
I know you guys want it to.
It might.
No, I have no allegiance to either of you two at this point.
It all comes down to, I think it's gonna come down to second votes. I can't see Brian switching off a family member.
Of course not.
He's not voting for me.
No. I like hers better than yours.
You know what?
Yeah, well, I'm not voting for him, so.
Let's just finish the episode now.
Guys, now we're not even voting on what we like. We're voting. We're playing the numbers game.
But look, so Community, Season 2, Episode 6, Epidemiology. Mm-hmm. It's the best. It's better. Yeah, it's better than both y'all's. Because it takes the best elements of both and combines it into a great episode.
All right, explain yourself.
Well, yeah, it does have hijinks. It takes some of that, but it also
drugs.
Yeah, it has drugs. It also has continuity, like your Brooklyn Nine-Nine does. Even though that B plot was trash with the dance thing, it's still it still was something that happened inside the episode, but was something that would carry on throughout the season.
To be just clear, I know how to I know how to like high kick and drop kick people.
But the basic premise of the Community episode is it's Halloween time. They're having a Halloween party within the library where everybody likes to study. It's just basically a main focus of the show. If you ever watch the show, they're always in the library doing stuff. Everybody comes in, shows up in costumes. You have Jeff Winger dressed as David Beckham, which was appropriate for the time. I think this was like 2000.
I have a $6,000 sense.
Yeah. And it's all within his character. Everybody was dressed within their character. You had Britta, who was dressed as a dragon turtle or a T-Rex, depending on how you wanted how she said it. But that was in line with her character because she always went out of her way to not dress in sexy costumes. Even like a later Halloween episode, she dresses just as a ham. I didn't pick that one. It's not that strong of an episode.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. You have Troy and Abed showing up.
I loved their costume.
Yeah.
Yes, they're very cool.
That's like my future couple costume.
Characters.
Right. It's the best costume, but it also ties into their B plot that we'll talk about in a minute. But they show Abed dresses as a classic xenomorph alien, and
I love that they DIY'd it too.
Yes.
Because sometimes on like TV shows, all of a sudden people have like movie quality costumes.
Right.
And they didn't do that. They were like, no, this is like PVC and a bike helmet and dumb shit.
Yeah, it's all things that you could have actually bought at a costume shop. It's not like the wild over the top things that like Tim Allen would have on Home Improvement. That are like, oh, that would cost me $300 if I tried to dress like him. But yeah, Troy was also dressed as like the power loader, built out of a bunch of shitty PVC pipe and like shoe boxes he's standing on.
Yeah.
How did he actually walk in those?
Yeah. Pierce just threw on a Captain Kirk shirt and didn't like get it. There was one of the funniest lines in the episode so the episode goes that there's a bunch of food and it was bought military surplus because the community college is poor. That's where they get food from. And they bought some tainted taco meat. The tainted taco meat starts turning
But
people...
was it even taco meat?
No.
Yeah, they just tried to pass it off as taco meat.
It was something that shouldn't have been sold to the public. It was a biohazard weapon.
So here's a question. Again, this is maybe like my second episode of Community Overwatch. Does George Takei intro every episode?
No, just the Halloween episode.
Okay.
Just the Halloween episode.
I was just curious. I was like, is this a thing that happens every episode?
But Pierce is kind of the first one to eat the tainted taco meat, and he gets all sweaty and sick. And Jeff says, if you get any sweatier and sicker, and any sweatier and more bloated, you're going to be a very costume accurate.
Yeah.
And Pierce's replies, I don't get it. Shut up. And just walks away.
He takes the dig. Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it.
But that leads us into one of the great staples of Halloween episodes on sitcoms. They go into the credit sequence that has been turned into a Halloween themed credit sequence. You get all kinds. The standard sequence was one of those high school origami. Pick your destiny.
Meeny,
type
meeny,
things.
miny, mo things. Yeah.
But they transformed it. They have little Halloween illustrations.
It was a nice touch.
And they have cobwebs on the table when they pan out. So that's something that comes with every good Halloween episode. Not something that Brooklyn Nine-Nine had, but every good Halloween episode has a very specialized intro.
Megan's pointers right now. Megan's pointers are going out.
That's the mandible claw.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
They didn't. I'm just saying they didn't try.
On Family Matters?
Yeah, they had.
Damn it.
Yeah, they even made the titling more spooky.
Yeah.
They made it a deeper oranger red.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine didn't need to do that.
No, they didn't.
Because they didn't make a Halloween episode.
Yeah.
They just put They just put decorations in the background.
They made an awesome heist show.
Absolutely.
I'm kidding. It was very Halloweeny. It was. It just not as much as ours.
You don't need to backtrack now.
Okay, sorry.
This is Steve's time. If you want to lean into the bullshit,
no, keep fighting. I don't need to defend myself. My
take out my time.
The other thing that my show has that is similar to Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but unlike Family Matters, is it's one camera.
Yeah.
Whereas you're still classic 3 camera, even 4 camera for super wide outs on Family Matters. You have just the one camera, linear storytelling that people have become used to. Is very cinematic, and then this episode is even more cinematic because of they just go all out with the lighting. They light it like a horror movie.
Very much so.
Especially in the basement scene, like the basement scene when Troy and Abed are climbing over top of racking to get away from the zombies that have chased them down there. It's a super harsh 1-point light that casts these harsh shadows that you would never see on 90s television.
Right.
But it becomes very cinematic. So yeah, that's what the episode is hinged upon. It becomes a zombie film with everybody falling to their own character flaws.
But I feel like with that, like it comes out to be this zombie film that it doesn't actually follow any classic zombie type thing, like tropes.
Yeah.
In any way, shape, or form.
And then,
we have not got to objections. let the man speak.
I don't think that's an objection. I think that supports it because
no, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Based...
It is an objection. Absolutely is an objection.
Oh, you didn't think my objection was objection? Trust me, it's a fucking objection.
I don't think it is. Yeah. I think it supports the fact that like everybody's beholden to their own stupidity and weakness, which is what you just find in every episode of Community.
And frankly, in a lot of zombie movies.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about Day of the Dead.
Right, yeah.
I mean, there's that's a huge aspect of that movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you like steal...
Their baser instincts, you know, your individual baser instincts come back to kill you in some way.
Yeah, steal
whether
and
it be
roads
pride
are...
or fear or selfishness or whatever.
Brian, stop helping him.
Guys, my plan's working so fucking good, you guys. Just stay tuned.
I think you about played... Or maybe both you.
Guys, I'm having a side conversation with the listeners.
I'm
guys.
actually
this is working
asleep
so
right
fucking
now.
good, right? Guys, this is going so good.
I'm actually
Guys, could you guys
asleep
excuse
right
us
now.
for a second? I need to talk to the listeners.
Family
Guys,
Matters,
we're killing
and I
this
am
right
asleep right now. I actually might go to bed.
But yeah, so it just carries out in a classic zombie movie fashion. People keep getting sick. People are hiding their bites, which you find are the transmission. That's one of the great like follies of the two characters of Rich, who is he's a minor character through that season, and he appears.
Is that the doctor?
Yeah, the doctor. Yeah, and he appears.
That's what I was trying. He obviously was in other episodes, but was he a major character?
No. He's mostly like so the show was broken down into like the A story of the zombies. You have the B story of Troy and Abed working through their friendship because there's a little bit of a Troy has hesitancy about going full nerd when he can't pick up any women at the party.
Yeah.
Rich, he is part of the C story where Jeff has feelings for Annie.
Yeah.
But they don't come out. He's not like good at expressing them.
You could tell that was a thread in the rest of the season, but they really were like, we're not going to broach it on this like gimmicky episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at that point, Rich would have been his competition because Annie and Rich were a lot closer.
Okay.
And you kind of see that in like the way she greets Rich when when she first finds out the banana is a doctor and the doctor isn't a doctor.
From the pottery class or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I'm a doctor.
And then you have a very minor D story of Professor Chang, who's no longer a professor that season, and Shirley. They wind up hooking up in a bathroom as they run from the zombies.
That was probably the funniest part of the scene. I mean, Donald Glover kind of kills me. He cracks me up. He's the highlight of the show for me in a lot of ways. But that was also pretty good because what's the actor's name who plays Professor Chang?
Oh, Ken Jeong.
Ken Jeong. He's very hit or miss for me. Sometimes in certain stuff, I think he's really fun. I mean, I remember the first time I saw him in like The Hangover or something. Like
he always plays like
great.
A similar character though,
He's
which
fun.
I mean, I could definitely appreciate. Like I enjoy him in this show, and I enjoy him when I see him elsewhere. But he always kind of plays a similar type of character where he's like the wild card, the one who's coming with like the really crazy, outlandish ideas, blah blah blah, like. Yeah.
But when he was on like Glover, The Voice, I mean, and I don't watch The Voice very often, but like I'm somewhere and somebody has it on or whatever. He's so painfully unfunny on that. It just makes me, it really takes him down a notch for me.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a thing that he should be on.
Was it The Voice? It's one of those shows, or maybe it's America's Got Talent, or you know what it is? It's the one where they dress up in costumes. You have to guess which washed up celebrity it is.
What it is,
Masked Singer.
Who do you know? What's the actor's name who plays Abed in the show?
Daniel Putty.
I feel like between him and Donald Glover, like their dynamic and like, I mean, I feel like Donald Glover in general is like the triple threat, like does everything just to such a high degree. And like this show is the first time I ever was exposed to him like years ago.
Right.
And I feel like still like he, like I can totally echo that. I feel like between him and like Abed's character, like they're just so much fun.
Yeah.
Throughout it.
I
like
know
that. I will
him
give you,
more
I will tote the show for them.
Yeah, I know him more as Childish Gambino. Like I know him more through his music than through here. So it is very weird. Not that he's like super serious in his music and stuff like that, but like it's just it's a weird dichotomy to see him playing this very like kind of nerdy, almost like, I don't want to say subservient kind of character, but he's very much like unsure of himself. And he's seen his music career, and it's just like
it also then becomes outlandish at times too, because he just like goes like no thoughts like with like his character ever seem like super logical all the time. He's just like, you're just a crazy character, and I'm like, well, really? It is.
I mean, but that actually calls all back, like the unsuredness and everything. That calls back to like what his character originally was. In that was he was like the superstar football player in high school, but then
I didn't know anything about that.
But then like in college, he doesn't know anything,
right?
So that's why he's like unsure of himself, and then he's just like
and then Abed's like fucking really smart, so he kind of like
and then the community college, it doesn't have a football team, so he has nothing to really,
he has no like social currency in that way.
he has no social currency, so that's why he's unsure of himself, and that's why, but you know,
I'm toting the show and not the episode, FYI. Let's be clear.
I do like some of his lines in this one. A couple of them I wrote down was like, when he comes, he's like, "Get away from those hotties." To call them a hottie is such a ridiculous thing. And then whenever they come in, they have their combo costume, and then I hope I'm not stealing your thunder here, but then when he eventually goes and decides to be sexy vampire, but he calls it a Dracula.
Right.
I'm a sucker for when somebody calls a vampire a Dracula,
right,
or calls something a Frankenstein. That kills me every time. He's like, "You're not Dracula, you're a vampire," and he's like, I don't need to know which Dracula I am to be a Dracula.
Yeah. I need to know that.
That's a great line.
But like the best part of that costume again is something that it's believable within the world because it's just toilet paper.
Yeah.
He goes to the bathroom, takes off his shirt, finds one of the sanitary seat rings to wear as a Dracula collar and writes Dracula on it. And then puts toilet paper
Dracula on it, which is like, it's funny because back in like the 70s, when you went and got like a drugstore costume, that would be it. It would be like just a smock that has a picture of Godzilla on it and says Godzilla.
Right. Yeah. You have a smock of Godzilla and then a mask of Godzilla.
You're not dressed as Godzilla. You're dressed as a movie poster.
Yeah.
It did not come with the turtleneck that you had to fucking wear in our part of the country.
You're dressed as a fan of Godzilla.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they are chased out of the library, chased into the basement. The whole thing they figure out is...
You punched a lady bee.
Yeah, I punched a lady bee. But the whole thing they find out is that it's a form of rabies that they got from the taco meat. And everybody's going to get a high fever that's going to cause brain damage and then kill them. So their goal is to turn down the temperature. And everybody's hubris leads them to getting captured and bit at some point as they're trying to make their way to the thermostat. At one point, it just comes down to Troy, and Abed has the great kind of meta line of his own because he is like a huge horror fan. He is a huge movie nerd. And so he sees his own ability to have it happen that Troy is the black man who survives the horror movie.
Yeah, the trope calls out the trope.
Yeah, he calls out the trope because that's what he would do. He's very focused on, breaking tropes, and he's going to Community as a filmmaker. He wants to be a filmmaker. So everything he sees is kind of as a film. So he sees that opportunity.
Yeah.
Boosts Troy up, and then Troy has the opportunity to go back and save everyone, which ends not great because he comes back in, as a sign of solidarity to his friendship with Abed and accepting his nerdom. He comes back in the power suit thinking he's going to beat up all the zombies and go to the thermostat. And no, it just doesn't work.
It does not.
He's like, okay, fine, I'm bit. Right, stop. It's like a paintball. He's like playing paintball and he got shot. He's like, stop. Okay, fine.
He's like, you got me. All right.
Yeah.
Throughout the episode, also, you have the running ABBA soundtrack, which is
that
both diegetic.
Ground on my...
Yo, let's bring back the Sweden Magnus rule.
I do not like that. Just ground on me. ABBA is like, I'm not one of those people. It's like, oh, ABBA, disco, whatever. Like, I like all types of music, but like that soundtrack just ground on me.
See, I liked it because it was set up diegetically.
Yes, I
like
get it.
you're
like,
supposed to hear it. Like it's a funny kind of joke.
Yeah.
But if you're not into that, then I can see how that would be a pain.
Yeah.
But yeah, also when that's not playing though, especially like again in those basement scenes, they leaned really hard on the horror soundtrack as well.
They did.
They
At
you know,
parts they definitely did. The cat bit in the basement was very good. I'll admit that was very good. Like, where's these cats coming from? And then he's like,
is somebody throwing them?
Back burner. We got to deal with this cat.
Yeah. We got to prioritize. We got to take care of this cat first.
They were like, the zombies. No, back burner. We got to deal with this cat. So it was funny. I wish they would have brought that back. We were talking about in Fear Street when we were like, something about, what was the line where he's like, they're not coming back from this, or these motherfuckers aren't coming back from this.
Right, yeah.
Now these motherfuckers are coming back. Like, that was the thing. I was just kept waiting. Why didn't you bring back the cat?
Yeah,
like,
there wasn't a full
bit.
punch to like how,
I know.
how does
They
that
they
end?
left so much meat on the bone with that bit.
I'll concede that they didn't finish that one completely. But
Let's fight that hardcore. Let's go on the list.
I don't think that's going to be our Deathstroke. Yeah,
Damn
that's not it. That's just like a mild.
That's a pretty minor thing. Yeah,
That's a mild miss
I've
joke.
got bigger bones to pick.
But yeah, in the end, the government shows up because the dean had called them earlier in the episode. And again, another joke I really liked is they showed up with the plan to execute the dean and kill everybody else inside.
Yeah.
But then they realized, oh, there's too many people to kill. So they switched to plan B.
Plan B was what, give them some sort of antidote or
right,
something.
yeah, it was actually just heal people.
Yeah,
But yeah, overall, it has all the trappings of a good Halloween episode. It has the Halloween intro. It has spoopy things going on.
Yeah.
The through lines continue because the
I
rich.
can't stop looking at Meg. She's just furious.
She'd be mad. She can be mad over there. Rich, the Rich, Annie, and Jeff storyline continues on. The Chang and Shirley incident adds a wrinkle into the episode or the season that carries on because during this season Shirley is having marital problems, so it's not a self-contained episode. It all really happened. It wasn't just a dream.
It might as well have been. This is 100% one of those episodes where it's like, we decided to do a Halloween episode, not unlike Family Matters. We decided to do a Halloween episode, but we want it to stand alone, and we don't want any of these things to really have happened in any meaningful way. So let's just clean it up with a very, very tidy brush at the end, and let's not speak of it again.
But no, that's what I'm saying, though. Those things do happen. They do continue on.
Yeah, the hookup thing, but they were inconsequential. The hookup thing was completely inconsequential to the storyline.
Inconsequential to the storyline.
It didn't have anything to do with zombies, really, or anything like that. They
Yeah.
could have been trapped in that bathroom for any number of reasons.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how you got them there.
True. That's true. Are all the episodes kind of as like fourth wall breaking, like surreal?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them. I think I've heard that a lot of the episodes are very surreal in this way. For a show that has that structure of being really surreal like that, I just feel like they could have done a lot more. I don't know, than just like everything contained in a room.
Right.
Because it is standalone. And like you see for Family Matters why they just went, okay, it was a dream. Because like there's too many consequences. Everyone can't be dead. You know what I mean?
Laura can't be three priests.
Laura can't be cut into pieces. With this show, because it is so like self-referential and it is so, they kind of, so many episodes can stand on their own and are so surreal. They could have went way bigger with it.
Maybe. And I think maybe the thing you have to remember, though, is it's only season 2.
Yeah. How many seasons of the show was there?
8, 9?
6.
Oh,
Okay. There were 6 at least.
I thought it was more.
There were 6 at least. I think there was maybe a 7th that was on Yahoo, and it was garbage. Yeah. So.
Sidebar.
Yeah.
Hulu takes over, and the fuck sucks.
Yeah.
Letterkenny was also like that. Anyway.
Okay.
Back to our point.
Yeah. So here is my kind of initial. I like the episode fine. I have not watched much of the show. I want to say I've watched maybe 3 episodes. I like a lot of the people. I don't think I like this show as much as I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine even. And I wrote down this, and it's kind of a joke comment, but it's a Family Guy reference. So forgive me. But do you remember the episode of Family Guy where they're drowning or something? It's like Peter and Brian or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like,
I don't
care
care
for the Godfather. It insists upon itself. This show insists upon itself. It is very clever to a masturbatory level. Like, it just oozes Dan Harmon's ego.
Okay.
In a way that just like sticks in my craw.
Okay.
I like Dan Harmon. Okay. And Rick and Morty works because it is so unabashedly Dan Harmon's sandbox that he just lives in and jerks himself off all day in.
Yeah.
This show, he's trying to make that happen, but you can't within the four walls of a sitcom. So it just feels, the jokes are kind of like, a lot of them.
So you're saying you can't masturbate on NBC?
As far as I know, and I've been writing letters for years. I'm trying to get just
answers.
open masturbation on network television. But no, it's just like, it definitely, a lot of the jokes feel like he wrote them for himself, and the actors had to do the best they could with them. And because the actors are so great, like for the most part, I mean, Chevy Chase might as well not been there. You know what I mean? Except for a couple quick scenes. I feel like he showed up and left before lunch for this episode, which is him. That's just who he is, right? In his older age, as from what I understand. The performers are so great, but they just had to speak. It feels like Dan Harmon is telling jokes himself through the characters rather than writing jokes for the characters.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, think of like some of the, like Parks and Rec. I keep talking about, I love Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec writers write jokes for the characters. They write things that only Tom Haverford would say, that only Leslie Knope would say. Yes, there's some of that here. I'm not saying he does this all the time, but there are so many jokes that feel shoehorned in that are a Dan Harmon joke that Donald Glover has to say.
I don't feel like, I feel like you not having experience with this episode, like, but I feel like you saying that makes a lot of sense for like the entire show though too. I think like I can see that being penciled in a lot.
I've only seen like, again,
no, but I'm saying like
episodes.
knowing the type of jokes they say, because I'm like processing what you're saying is that like you taking that interpretation from it, I could see that how like you pulled that quickly from this one episode that like I think sometimes persists throughout the show.
Like
too.
like there was a couple of examples of just stuff that ended up being just kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of like exclamatory comments that seemed like they were supposed to be deeper jokes. And Dan Harmon has this mentality of like, he's not afraid to not make something funny, like, because he's writing it for himself and like, fuck everybody else who's not as smart as Dan Harmon. So like, they ended up trying to make it funny via the performance and making it big.
Yeah.
But the joke wasn't funny. It was just Donald Glover doing a wacky face, you know, or something like that. Like, that was the stuff that kept, they just tried to they had to sell not jokes that didn't make sense in the moment. They had to sell it with a silly performance.
I don't know if you took away, I mean, you're clearly taking away something similar, but like, did you notice even like the same type of joke being applied to like different people? Because like when you said it, I was like, I could see that persist. And I'm not trying to like take apart this particular episode in this saying this, but like the show itself of like, I can see how they all have the same type of humor. I don't know if Steve, you even feel that way sometimes. Like,
here's the thing. Dan Harmon wouldn't disagree with you.
Yeah. No, he wouldn't, because he's a prick. He's an absolute self-indulgent prick.
He has gone on record himself. I've listened to his podcast on and off. Yeah. When he was doing it, and
I used to watch him do the thing where they play Dungeons and Dragons. Show, whatever it was. Yeah, I've watched that.
He would totally agree that when he was writing Community, especially Community, because like he talked about it a lot, about it like it being the height of his alcoholism and everything.
Sure.
But he's just writing for himself. He's just, masturbating.
Yeah, I got the checks coming. I'm going to do what I can do.
Yeah.
And I think for that reason, it makes the show definitely open to a strong cult following. And there are people diehard fans of the show.
Right.
But it also makes it super unaccessible.
Yeah, yeah. If you find it off-putting the first time, you're not going to warm up to it.
No. You know what? It had a Day of the Dead reference though, so I'll say he didn't say it. Somebody got pulled backwards. It was
it
the
was Annie.
suit. No, it was Joel McHale. Remember he got pulled back with the soup, and he didn't say choke on it or whatever.
Right,
but he said something about his suit as he was getting pulled backwards through the window or whatever. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, he opened a door and got pulled backwards into a door.
That's right.
But it also I guess it was more of a Shaun of the Dead reference. Annie got pulled through a window.
Yeah, you're probably right. Which is again a reference from Day of the Dead. But I think you're probably right there. So overall, like my take was, it doesn't feel, especially this episode, it doesn't feel like a sitcom.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a mediocre short movie.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I Brooklyn Nine-Nine feels like a sitcom. It's jokes. It's just the way it's shot, the way it's lit, all that stuff. Like even when they go to the street scenes, you just you're like, I kind of like the comfort of feeling like you're on a soundstage.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you're outside, it feels like a sitcom. This felt like they tried to make it super cinematic, and it just didn't feel like a sitcom.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can understand, but I think that sometimes seems like the show itself of like being very dramatic.
Yes,
ways.
these are all like fundamental problems I have with the show.
Mm-hmm.
But
so that though is specific. That kind of cinematic is specific for only a few episodes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
because I saw another one where they were like, wasn't there something where they were like, they were in like a judge was like, I don't know. Again, I'm trying to pull from a very distant memory of one weird episode I saw, so I probably won't even try. But like one of the maybe 2 or 3 other episodes I saw felt a lot like that.
Yeah, they like throughout the seasons they'll do these kind of standalone special episods that are a bigger, that have the cinematic feel to them.
Yeah.
So it's like the Halloween episodes, the paintball episodes. I don't know if it's the episode you're thinking of, but they had one that was really fucking bizarre.
The one I watched was really bizarre. Because it turned me off from the show right away. Not that I wasn't that was bizarre, but I was just like, I don't know, what is this show?
It was like a late season. They had like a social rating app, kind of going on, and then it decided kind of the cast structure of the community college, and then like Tim Heidecker's on the episode, so that
I don't remember Tim Heidecker. I think I would have remembered Tim Heidecker.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Tim Heidecker's on the episode, and it just like elevates it to another weirder level.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So my take is jokes 2.5 stars, Halloweeniness 2 stars. That's what
Halloweeniness gets 2 stars.
Yes,
Wait,
because it was an action zombie movie. It wasn't a Halloween.
They need
It
to be
started
Jack
out with
Lantern's
Halloween
on stars.
cookies. They had a whole spread of
Okay,
everybody's
3 stars for Halloweeniness.
everybody's in
were
good
they
costume.
fucking eating Park Smiley cookies that were just in the shape of pumpkins? Because if not, then fuck them.
Yes, I didn't hate it. I enjoyed it for the most part. Yeah, this is, again, I'll stop right because these are my personal takes on it. I just not a huge fan of the humor. They were but the performances are great. Like that's the thing. Like great performances for the most part. Wasn't a huge fan of the humor. That's my take.
I think ultimately my takeaway is, again, I've liked Community. I've like kept up with it for the most part, probably until like the last 2 seasons probably.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always enjoyed the series. And with this episode itself, though, especially if we're looking in the context of Halloween episodes and looking in the context of like the choices that we made, like I thought it was fun and interesting, but I also felt like the way they wrapped it up was like slightly worse than having a dream. You know what I mean? Like it was just, again, it almost felt like it just like ended as well.
Yeah, it might.
Whereas Brooklyn Nine-Nine, it was hijinks the whole time, and it's like, ooh, tricks and
cops coming in and
trick-or-treat,
erasing
guys.
everything and curing everybody is the same as a dream.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's the same as a dream, but it also kept those other through lines solid.
but also I feel like the fact that like they tried to bring the zombie aspect and it didn't make total sense to me in like that sense. Like I said, it was fun. It was genuinely a fun episode. I'm not going to discredit it so much that I'm like, this was the worst type of Halloween episode, but like legit, it was just as like the same idea as like discounting the dream idea.
Yeah.
And again, I'm going back to Brooklyn Nine-Nine being hijinks. I felt like it was a little bit more intelligent. And now we have all these like, oh my God, everyone was involved. I'm going to go back and still defend that, Brooklyn Nine-Nine didn't have the like horror aspects that both of yours had.
Yeah.
But the hijinks, the tricks, I feel like still kept it as a Halloween episode. Boom. Done. Out. Megan out.
So here's my question.
No.
Do we vote in the order that we presented? I feel like that's only fair.
Okay.
But that's not to say we can't change. But here's one thing. And this is deadly fucking serious. We have to vote based on what we think and not play the numbers game. Because if you play the numbers game, it's just going to come to a tie. Because if it comes down to it and Steve votes last and he was voting between me or you for the second, and if we vote for one of them, it wins, and one of them, it goes to a tiebreaker vote online.
No, I legit think this
He's got
episode
to
is
vote
going
with what
to
he
the.
thinks
I
is going to
think
win.
this episode is going to
I
the
know
crowd.
you want for that.
No,
to happen.
I legit think that like
It might. You're right.
I legit think it's going to go that way.
So here's the thing. We always have the first vote. I feel like nobody's changing on their first vote.
I'm not going to
not.
change my first vote.
I'm not.
Neither am I.
Okay.
Okay, so we have that settled.
Yeah.
So this is going to come down to second vote. What will we pick second?
We
My
Russian
number two.
roulette.
Well, we don't have to Russian roulette, but
I mean,
I
legitimately.
appreciate what you've already said,
Yeah.
Brian, and I feel like personally I've already set myself up that if I vote a certain way, the audience is going to know that I'm going against what I've already been saying.
Okay.
So we can, but if we want to go from order of presentation, we
what?
can.
So
No, I don't think order matters. Like honestly, I don't care.
all right. Well, let's do it in order because you
Okay.
can technically change. So what, Meg? You went first. You've maintained. You want Brooklyn Nine-Nine as your first pick. What's your second pick?
Yours.
Okay. Mine's my first pick. My second pick is Meg's.
Okay.
Legitimately.
Okay.
Not playing the numbers
Yeah.
game. I like that one more.
Yeah. And then my second pick is Brian's.
Buddy.
He was not number one besides
You're
his
talking
own.
to the Rolex wearing,
Where's the Halloween in your show, Meg? God damn it.
diamond ring wearing,
Look what you
high
did.
flying.
Wait,
kiss
does that
stealing.
mean he just
Woo!
won? Does
Yes, that means he won because not only did you give him second vote, but then your show didn't have Halloween.
Airplane flying.
Another month of this.
Son of a gun. Woo! And I'm having trouble keeping these
you know
alligators
what?
down.
I think in the next month
I'm getting
we
the belt.
have to
I'm getting it.
we have to determine a way for a audience vote.
Well, it
Lazarus
could
is
have come
not
down.
happy about this.
It could have come
I
down
got
to an
the
audience.
strap.
It could have come down to an audience vote if you voted for me.
I got the strap, boys and girls. It worked perfectly. All those subliminal messages that I was whispering into the.
You did not plan this like
whispering
Captain
into
Holt.
it. Ooh.
You didn't
Ooh.
plan it like that.
Machiavellian, I would go as far as to say,
Not
boys
even.
and girls. I brought it home. The belt staying. Listen to that. Slapping those precious metals.
You're gonna do fucking yoga. You
We're
do downward
keeping it.
dog on that bitch.
We're keeping
You're
it,
gonna
boys.
do
We're keeping it on the
downward dog
shoulder.
on
The
that
champ.
bitch.
He's here. He's here.
All right.
And we're going for a three-peat next month.
But I
You know
like.
what? You know what I would say too. Next month,
all of
September.
this?
Guess what's after that?
October.
You know what I
Whoever
like
gets the belt
about
in
all of
October,
this
that's the
is
real-
that
that's
Brian
WrestleMania.
You
hasn't.
guys are talking.
No. I know. Brian hasn't had a sweeping win at all. He has
I
not
get it
been
done. I'm
ultimately
dirtiest player in the game.
Yeah.
like that's what I love about this and I hate about this is that you haven't officially been like the ultimate winner.
Yeah.
I got a belt on my goddamn shoulder right now.
I'm just being a hater.
You know
right
what I
now.
would say? Yeah, I think we need to build up to the October episode because that's the WrestleMania. I mean, that's it.
right.
That's the WrestleMania.
So
of
that
it.
means next month has
This
to
was
be a
like-
showdown. You and me. Showdown. What?
What
Ugh.
do you have our punishment
match.
planned for next week?
I do. I already have a film picked. Actually, you know what? I'm 90% sure what it's going to be. I'm I'm not 100%. Not 100%.
Okay.
Didn't want to put the cart before the horse and have my pick selected. Probably should have, didn't. But we're going to surprise you on next week's mini-sode because I'm going to pull some just absolute rat shit garbage out of there.
Damn it.
I mean,
I
you're
apologize
going to
to
be
the audience in
praying
advance
for
for how much I'm
uninvited.
going to tell Brian to go fuck himself.
You're going to be praying for uninvited next week. So, well, that was a lot of fun. We got a whole bunch of empty beers around here. We didn't get too far on the Takis.
I ate a lot of them.
I ate a lot of candy corn, and my tummy feels bad. But you know what? The weight of this belt on my shoulder is making it feel all that
I feel
much
like
better.
you have to bring more candy to the next episode.
As we
Like-
progress towards Halloween, once we get to Halloween, we are going to have just an outlandish amount of candy on this table.
Can we get some of them ghost peeps up in here?
Oh, yes. There's going to be ghost peeps. There's going to be
I like
pumpkin
mine,
Reese's cups. There's
dried
going to be Necco wafers. We're going to be snorting lines and Necco wafers up here. I don't give a shit.
That's what he's going to make us. He's going to make us watch a movie and while eating those candies.
I think I might rather snort Necco wafers, depending on the movie. We'll see.
Blue Taki dust coated Necco wafers. That's what we're going to have next week. So, well, this was a lot of fun, guys. As always, we'll be talking. You know, we got some minisodes coming your way next week. I will pick a movie to inflict upon my co-host here, and then, of course, as always, I didn't mention it on the top of the show. If you didn't already, follow us on Instagram. It has @HalloweenIsForever, @HallowForever on Twitter, Halloween is Forever podcast on Facebook, or shoot one of them old-fashioned emails over on Halloween is Forever pod. I always forget that one, @gmail.com. And yeah, we're going to be posting some stuff in the coming weeks about what our, believe it or not, September episode is going to be, which is pretty damn wild.
Yeah.
So, anything else before we sign off?
Nah, keep an eye out for those polls. Maybe we'll still put a poll up just to see if somebody else would have won
That's a good idea.
from the audience.
That's a good idea.
I,
Just so Meg and Steve can rest easy, knowing that they never had a chance, even if it was tied. No. So, and also, I would be remiss if I did not mention, send us those suggestions, Sil.
Yeah.
I don't think we called out in the last couple episodes. So we haven't got a bunch of new ones in the last couple weeks, but we have a whole big giant pool. But if you have any questions, suggestions rather, for episode topics, again, they can be movie subgenres, they can be stuff like this, Halloween episodes and stuff. Probably in the next few months we'll do some spooky stuff, but send them on over there in the DMs.
I think it would be really fun too, leading up to Halloween month as well, since we'll obviously have all the mini-sodes, like favorite Halloween memories, like favorite, like whether watching movies or like any sort of experience, like that would be really, really cool to share on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Too.
Yep. People are gonna listen. I'm already in full spooky season mode. I'm gonna drag all you sons of bitches along with me, and we're gonna get
Drag
real
us to
spooky.
hell.
We're gonna get real spooky. So, as always, thank you very much for listening. Like, comment on the social medias, write us a review on there and on Apple Podcasts if you feel so inclined, and shoot us a note if you have anything cool to talk to us about. Otherwise, for the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Brian.
I'm Meg.
I'm Steve.
Well, bye. Bye.